Hey, there we are. Hopefully, everything is functioning.
Hey.
Hopefully there's good audio levels and everything.
Hopefully we got it.
So Coury has been working in Indianapolis today. So he wasn't able to get away until a little bit later. So he will possibly be on the call later. He will possibly even call in while driving. I don't know. Who knows? But in the meantime, I have our very gracious, oftentimes Coury stand-in and de facto Discord community manager, Henry Clark.
It's easy to stand in. I've got the same haircut, so
Yeah.
we're good. You got the same baldness going on.
Yeah.
I'm working on slimming down to get more Coury's size. I'm almost there. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Before you know it, you'll be you will be Coury. You'll replace him outright.
I don't have the awesome shelving for my setup yet to do that. Like I've debated on I've debated on trying to literally copy his shelving setup for my gaming stuff because the desk is currently a desk setup and it's limiting me. But maybe. But I don't have a basement though. We can't dig into the ground here in Florida, sadly.
But yeah, thanks for joining me. And I didn't really know what I was going to do today. But then, it popped in my head that, and something I've wanted to do for a long time, just because I thought it would be funny, was play the PS3 version of Skyrim in Composite. I was waiting for an April 1st to fall on a Sunday or something. And I'm like, yes, that'll be great, because PS3 version of Skyrim is obviously considered quite a mess. And why not also play in Composite? The reason that that I thought was so interesting was because when I was several years ago, I was looking at a list of games on PS3 and 360 that support proper 4:3 display modes. They aren't just the letterboxed presentation in 480i. And I still kind of want to do a video on that, PS3, 360, and maybe also Wii games that actually have proper layouts for 4:3. Because when that generation started, I already had a HD CRT, but it was 4:3. So, however, when I got the Wii and the PS3, and those systems had proper, you could display anything from the system level at 16:9. And since I reasoned I was getting a wider field of view in the games, I did play in 16:9, even though it was a 4:3 HD CRT. So it was, compressing it, but I thought that was the way to go. Just for the wider field of view. Had I gotten an Xbox 360 at launch, I wouldn't have been playing it in Composite, because it would have been, I was in college. I did have the Toshiba that appears in TV and videos every now and then. The Toshiba CRT does have Composite, or excuse me, it has Component, but it's 480i. So if I got a 360 at launch, which I was really strongly considering doing, and then I somehow just didn't get one until after the generation was over. I almost bought a 360 many times, but didn't until 2013, 2014.
I was running it on I did have an HD TV. I had recently, when the 360 came out, or when I got one, I guess because I got one after the Wii came out.
Yeah.
I had recently purchased an HD TV. I'd saved up over the summer when I was between freshman and sophomore year of college, and bought a cheap $800 27-inch 768p Westinghouse TV at the time. but then later got an HD CRT for the living room because that was my computer monitor slash, desk TV in my room. So eventually for my college apartment, I think I remember basically damn near stealing a HD CRT on eBay. I remember I found like a local pickup only one, and it was a 32-inch Samsung 4x3. And I don't know how we got it in the backseat of my roommate's Civic sedan at the time. It was like 97 Civic 4-door. Like, I remember it was significant work to get that TV home because you get in a car that small, the doors aren't that wide. They don't open super wide. It was not fun, but we got it, and that was actually the first time I hurt my back. I still have back injury problems to today. I pulled my back out pulling it up staircase because I tied it to a hand cart. The staircase going up to our second floor was like this, where each step had this big overhang. And here's the thing actually holding it up, but it had the overhang for decorative reasons, I guess. And so the wheels would go under it on the hand cart, and I kept having to pull it up and around the top.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I literally threw my back out.
You're not the only person I know who, blames their recurring back issues on a CRT of some kind. But yeah, HD CRT. I mean, when I got mine, why? Oh, it's probably because my controller shut off. Why? That's weird. Oh, interesting. When I got my HD CRT, my mom forbade me and my dad from moving it ever again, just because it freaked her out so much. And we did,
right.
Every time I moved it, henceforth, including when I got rid of it, help came to get rid of it. We did that one, and actually, a neighbor helped us. I mean, it was a 3-person job, really, but anyway, yeah. I remember. I wasn't really familiar with Morrowind or any prior Elder Scrolls stuff, but when the Xbox 360 was coming up, or it may have already been out even, I was really thinking about getting one, and I remember when I first learned about Oblivion, I saw the screenshots and just thought it looked unreal. I mean, that iconic shot of that screenshot that you still see used to this day of like the gold knight, in front of the ruins with the grass, like that looked so good. And honestly, I think that particular screenshot still holds up, but like that looked just so good. And like all the other stuff, and just like, it just sounded like this game where you could do anything and be any kind of character you wanted. It just seems so unbelievable to me. I mean, you also have to keep in mind that this is like a PC first game, and I'm mostly, in terms of the most up-to-date stuff, mostly only exposed to PS2 and GameCube games at the time, right? So like a game of this scope, and I was like almost entirely unfamiliar with Western RPGs and stuff, so it really blew my mind. And I remember I worked in the as a student assistant at the library in college, and on certain days of the week I worked the computer lab, and I almost never really had to do anything. And so I remember just like being on like the computer in the computer lab, earning money, and I was just like looking at like the Bethesda website or wherever it was, just like reading about it and just being like, how can this game be real? Like, it just sounded so incredible. And I wanted it really bad. And I did get I did upgrade my computer or like actually build a whole new computer before my last semester, because I was going to be doing some like kind of heavy duty 3D animation stuff. And I wanted a new computer to handle it better. And I don't know what kind of graphics card I had. It was some kind of ATI card, I think. I think it was still ATI and not merged with AMD yet. Yeah.
It was ATI at the time that this came out.
Yeah, it was some kind of ATI card. I couldn't tell you what it was, or like if it would have, how good it would have been for running this game. But I did, when I got that, I did, kind of get a little bit into Steam and a few other PC things for a time there. So luckily I did have like the right hardware, even though I didn't end up getting a 360 at the time. I did have hardware for playing it. So I was able to get this game either at launch or maybe, within the first month, certainly. And, yeah, I mean, it was an experience unlike anything else. Like, it's definitely anything else I had played. Like, it definitely remains my favorite Elder Scrolls. Like, Skyrim is probably the better game, but I just have so much nostalgia for Oblivion.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. I played a bit of Morrowind before it, and then played Skyrim. I did like a deliberate PC upgrade for Skyrim. When this came out, I guess it was near the end of high school. So for me, and at the time I was doing like a lot of like LAN party stuff, so a lot more multiplayer focus. And I was aware of it, like, because I've always followed even things I haven't done. I always followed, especially in the PC side of stuff, the big tech stuff, and always thought it was interesting. But yeah, just kind of mostly missed this, and I started playing it actually earlier this week on the remaster for the first real time, and the performance on the PC, the remaster having the performance issues, even though I have a high-end rig, I was able to tweak it to get it running well enough, but it definitely has a lot of stutter going on with it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to
watch DF will see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing the remaster eventually, but it probably couldn't hurt to wait for it to get some patches and stuff. And I honestly don't know what platform I would end up getting it for, to be honest. So I'll wait for DF. I'll maybe wait for some patches, some updates. Because $50 is a lot for me to drop on a digital product. And even if it does get a physical version, there's a 0% chance Microsoft is going to release a 2-disc game. And this is apparently like a 120 gig game, the remaster is. Not this. Yep. Not this. The base game fits on one DVD, and so what I've got one of those. I've got right here. I've got one of those cases that's like it's an Xbox One style branding on it, but it's an Xbox 360 case. But it's got like Xbox One and 360 branding on it because it came out like after it became backwards compatible. But it's got like two discs.
It's the larger 360 style casing.
It is larger, yeah. And see, the game disc is on the left side, but it's got it has two discs. One disc is you just put the disc 2 in first, and it installs Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles, and then you put in the disc 1 to play it. This isn't going to be exactly like the launch day experience because I did install it to the Xbox 360, but I thought it would be fun. I was initially going to play the PS3 version, which I believe is considered actually the better version.
Is it?
Yeah, because it came out like
okay.
It came out like a year or two later than the 360 version, so I think it's it's considered to be a little bit more polished. However, this is the better console version now because the backwards compatibility is so good you can play it in 4K 60 on Series X, which is incredible.
I'm just talking. Most of the games with those dual brandings I've seen have the Xbox One size case. I didn't know they had the dual branding in 360 size.
Really? No. I feel like I have maybe one other like that.
Okay.
But I think it's also a 360 size case. Yeah, it's just that it has that Xbox One, like it's a 360 like bright neon green.
Yeah, so the more subtle.
And it does contrast a bit with that Xbox One like kind of darker green.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says plays on Xbox One and Xbox 360. Actually, 1 second. I'm going to read the super chats that have come in, and then I'm going to take Sandy out because I forgot to take her out before the stream. There was a $2 super chat from Nemo Moshiri. Thank you, as always, saying happy Sunday. Thoughts about Claire Obscure? Coury did get Claire Obscure and did start it day one. He seemed very impressed. It seems like everyone is loving that. It sounds very, very good. I've not really read specifically what people's impressions are because I don't really want to know. Like, I kind of want to go in blind, but like if I could find a copy, it seems it's difficult to find a copy right now. I'm sure it'll start coming back in stock in the coming weeks. Because if you want to order it on Amazon, it says like ships like May 14th or something like that. So
the publisher, I think they said something that what the publisher number said that they've shipped over 1 million discs for it.
Discs?
Just discs alone.
Physical version. Wow. Yeah, so it sounds like it's very successful and well received so far for a game that was made by supposedly like 30 people. 30 developers.
And it's a $50 title, which helps in an age of 70 and now impending $80 games.
Well, that's probably one of
title.
That's probably one of the reasons that it's getting such good user reviews as well. Like people are probably like, fewer people making big game for less money, and it seems
but it worked.
It sounds like it worked, so maybe people are going to be looking at that and be like, oh,
Go on. I started it today. I installed and played with it yesterday. I was more just playing with the tech just because, I'm a PC first person, even though I've got everything. I like playing with the tech. It's got some weirdness on the PC side that I've kind of found some workarounds. But for most people, they won't even notice or care. But like the type of person like me that's doing like this kind of stuff you see John Linneman doing, and not quite as critical as him, but in a similar vein of trying to make everything perfect with image quality and everything. So I played with it for a couple, I've got about an hour or two messing with that until I found a way, stuff that made me happy. And then I got about 2.5 hours in it today, even though most of that, a single hour of that is this first, what I've read up, apparently it's an optional boss. I thought it was mandatory, which I thought it was in my way. Turns out it was optional, which I figured that out after defeating it. Completely wiped the floor with me over and over and over again. Wow. It took me like 8 or 9 attempts to beat this boss because you have to perfect the dodge or parry system to beat this optional boss because he will one-shot you on virtually every attack. So, wow. And I was like, this seems really heavy for early on. And then I realized, because it's optional. And it definitely forces you to get good with the dodge and block system. The block's a little more forgiving than the parry. Or I should say the evade is a little easier than the parry system. But the parry system is powerful once you get down. So that's what I literally did. I was doing that moments before rushing to cook to get on here, is trying to finish it. And I was like, this is my last attempt before I've got to give up. Yeah, beat his ass. It was a tough fight for so early on. But
I see good. I see Powder Keg in the chat saying the characters will look like dwarves, overhyped. But you have to keep in mind, like, this is a small production. Like they arguably are maybe doing themselves a disservice by like trying to make the game look relatively comparable to like more AAA fare, but it's a very small team making it, and that resulted in a $50 game. So it may not be the most it may not be like the most impressive game out there, but context is everything, and I think that the context behind the making of the game makes it more impressive.
To me, the graphics are obviously going to be something that scale massively based on the size of the team and the budget.
Mhm.
Everything else, like I look at a game, judge on the gameplay, irrespective of what it costs, because a good game needs to play like a good game, and I'm looking for something that's fun, not necessarily based on is this fun for the money. For me, the value in that is completely irrelevant. There's plenty of $5 titles that are amazing amount of fun. The graphics obviously can scale. It's like I'm playing on Game Pass, mind you, so I didn't pay outright for the game, but completely unrelated to its price, it's a great game. I'm really enjoying the battle system. It's a turn-based game, but that dodge parry system has some active elements to it, and I think it's a really good blend.
Cool. Well,
Like
maybe like after I get a video out, I'll treat myself to it.
Grab the PS5 version. I assume, it's play it on some PS5 Pro. You've got the hardware. Might as well play it, in the highest quality.
Yeah. But there was also I see a notification that I need to check my controls.
I got it. Yeah, Enchilada, 18 months from Enchilada backloggery. If you start a new character, naming him Blarg in lieu of earlier. Have fun playing the real Oblivion.
Yeah, Enchilada and some other backloggery people, we were doing a little bit of stuff in Final Fantasy 14 earlier, and there was we got a random person in our party named Blarg, and we thought it was funny.
I was like, I don't get the reference, but I don't catch a lot of the backloggery.
No, it wasn't even on stream. It was just, we were like earlier today, like we were just like doing some stuff with a group on Discord in Final Fantasy 14. Wow, this wolf is just chasing this dude on this horse like across the entire land here.
That's something incredibly impressive that you didn't see, especially on a console game of this time.
Yeah,
like, that is.
And I'm amazed I can see the wolf that far away in composite video.
Yeah, I know, especially when it's paused. I can see, even with the Retrode 4K doing its job, I can see, especially in your compass, I can see the interlace flicker, and it just like gives me that internal tick. You've heard me go off of like I'm not a fan of playing PS2 stuff a lot of times on original hardware.
Because you see it.
I don't like 480i.
Yeah,
I didn't like it then. I really don't like it now.
And it'll be worse as well on the stream just because of like inconsistent frame delivery as well, right? So
yeah, probably but I can tell that it was interlace source, even with what all the work the 4K does.
Yeah, and the settings that I'm using on the Retrode are more softer settings because I think that's appropriate for composite. I think if you're trying to do like sharp pixel settings I can show you. I think if you're trying to do like sharp pixel settings for, you won't be able to fully see. This is the CE, by the way. I'm using the CE, so we do have a few limited settings. I thought about making it like even blurrier, but then I'm like, oh yeah, the IIR LPF setting is not on the CE. But like I've got on here, you can see here I'm using bilinear standard and bilinear soft. I could actually sharp. I thought it would probably look more similar to what if I put on soft for the horizontal, it would look more similar to how it looked for people that actually, I saw some people saying, there were a lot of people who, this is how they played it, composite on an Xbox 360. So I went with like you could, I can do sharp settings, but to me like that, sharp is only something that you should use if the actual signal source is, of high integrity. If you can actually get a sharp pixel look, but if you can't, I think it makes more sense to kind of use softer pixel scaling. You know, I just think it's,
Yeah,
I think it's more
composite image would be really bad with being super sharp. I think.
I
Especially
agree. I agree. You kind of, I mean, you know, you gotta learn when to just lean into what the signal,
flaws.
what it is, like lean into its strengths. Okay, can I shoot a wolf with a fireball? I mean, they definitely improved the magic system in Skyrim. Oh, where did? Oh, I hear it. By the way, I'm using my TV speakers. So yeah, that might be even more authentic.
Because you didn't have all the stuff routed properly to the analog
through the right because I normally RetroTink oh no, I have a disease.
Oh,
I have a disease of some kind.
you're gonna go rabid.
Yeah, I don't remember what that does.
Your speed is being drained.
Oh.
Your ability is being drained. Your agility is being drained. Because I'm seeing this way laggy. Because I'm looking at the YouTube feed,
yeah.
So I'm like probably 10 seconds behind.
I should probably find. Oh, there's Kvatch. That's where
the story that's where I found the story took place.
So I don't think I'm gonna find what I want there. Why don't we go to Skingrad? So this save actually. Okay, let's go to Skingrad. If I can safely make it there, so I can get something. Maybe I can buy something to get rid of the wolf disease. Something's chasing me. Oh, there's another wolf.
Gonna go werewolf style.
So this save is like, I mean, I'm level 1. I just made this save when I think it was when the Series X version got I think it was when it got the frame rate unlock thing. Whatever they call it, speed boot, frame rate, FPS boost, whatever they call it.
FPS, yeah. FPS.
Look at them distant Oblivion textures. That's the real deal there.
This is really impressive for the time. Also, Mr. Dots wants to know, what's your character name?
Oh, so I always like to play as an Argonian in Elder Scrolls, and there's a story behind it. The reason I like to play Argonian is because they innately have infinite underwater breathing.
Oh, that's useful.
So yeah, I feel like that's probably the best inherent trait and of the various races, and because this game originally came out around the maybe half a year after Dragon Quest VIII, and I was playing Dragon Quest VIII in the first half of 2006. So I had like just finished Dragon Quest VIII, and there is a city in Dragon Quest VIII called Argonia, and the kind of the story of that part of the game is you are doing something with some like spoiled brat prince whose name is Charmles, but he always insists that it's pronounced Chamlay. But like I can't remember who does it, but like at least one person in your party, or maybe just your party in general, calls him Prince Charmless instead, which I thought was really funny. Because it is like, it's spelled, his name is spelled Charmless with only one S. So, if I, oh, come on. There we go. So if I bring up my, I am an Argonian named Charmless, and I pretty much do that every time I play an Elder Scrolls game because of Dragon Quest VIII. Try's Oblivion character name has more lore than Kirby games.
Yep. I was just waiting for the story to get done for that one. That is. I was trying to hold that one in, not while you were talking. And I know it. I guess it's just the thing of getting to be one of the older side in this hobby now. You know, I think you just turned 40. I'm 30, 38, so I'm getting right there too. But when I see in the chat also, I'm borderline says, ask like 360 outputs composite natively? Exclamation mark, like, yes.
360 didn't launch with an HDMI port.
Nope, it came with composite and component in the box. Came with component at least on the higher end version. The base model only came with composite, but you could use component or composite on it.
Look at this glowing light. Oh, there's bad things going on here. Oh, there's necromancers.
I will rock composite with great pride on my $25 Shark TV. That's a great way to go.
Oops, I didn't mean to sneak. This is probably one of the few times that it's good that enemies scale with you in this game, because I'm like I wandered like all the way to the far side of the map when I loaded this up originally, because I just wanted to test the backwards compatibility. Oh, I'm over encumbered. Oh no.
That's one thing that kills me when I do play the times I do.
I know, because I want to pick everything up and then like sell crap.
That's why I don't have because playing on PC, I have no problem with on these type of games. I will occasionally load up a trainer just to set certain very minor things for more or less QOL, quality of life changes than anything, including removing over encumberment or like increasing capacity to maximum, as well as maybe giving some extra cash. But especially over encumbered systems annoy me to no end.
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's always, I always like to put stats into I think it's endurance. Ooh, what's absorb health? Okay. Let's see, what are my hotkeys? Okay, up is heal, right is flare. Okay. I should probably save. I don't know how often it saves. I mean, it's funny that I'm like playing this in composite. Like, if we really wanted to at the end, I could just like use my cloud saves and play it in 4K 60, which I think is pretty awesome that you can do that. But something else that I like. So this game, I've always thought that the Thieves Guild was kind of the most fun, like kind of major story that's apart from the main quest. And so I really enjoy like the kind of all of the stealth mechanics and stuff. I normally don't do like unlawful character type stuff in games, but I for some reason really enjoy it in Elder Scrolls. And so you might notice I'm wearing like heavy armor. It's usually a blunt weapon. So I mean, again, this was like 4 years ago that I just booted this up, but I'm guessing so see, I made like my major skills: sneak, heavy armor. But why? Because
it's a weird combo.
Yes, it is. But of course, I have no idea if I would ever finish this character, but it's one of my favorite things to do in this game because when I want to say like maybe not the last perk, but one of the perks when you get really high up in sneak is that you move completely silently regardless of whether you are sneaking, regardless of what kind of armor you are wearing. So you can just run around in heavy armor and it doesn't matter, which I think is so funny. So
it's like armor that impacted the sound.
Yeah. So
I guess that makes sense. Heavy armor is going to be metallic.
Right, but I mean, it's a sneak. It's a stealth. It's a stealth skill. So, it's not necessarily a great combo at first, but eventually, heavy armor and heavy armor and stealth are actually great combos.
I started at like range, so I started a character.
Sorry, you turned into a robot there.
Oh, is it any better?
No, you're currently still a robot.
That's really weird.
Oh, you're better now.
Okay, I was just about to log into my router and see if my buddy is like out here, killing our upstream bandwidth or something. Go kick him off the network. I when I started the other day, I started a range. I like playing range kind of stuff. So I forget what the character class is, but basically when it's combination of a range similar to a bow and magic, because so I can cast and then shoot arrows from a distance, like specialized in that.
I've never gotten into archery in these games. Magic, yes. Archery, no.
Without knowing a whole lot about the game, I wasn't. So many RPGs are kind of stingy at the early game, especially on mana. And I didn't even think about the fact that the game, I realized the game has auto-regenerating mana, so it's probably the archery part.
You still sound like a robot, by the way. I can understand about 70% of what you say, though.
Weird.
I see Kyle McMahon is wanting to know if we got Switch 2 pre-orders, and if so, which route we went. We went the same route that everyone did, which was, 2 hours of excruciating misery that ultimately ended up in success. It sounds like GameStop was actually the way to go. But
I was trying for GameStop.
What did you end up with?
I have Walmart pre-orders, one for each SKU.
That's right.
Luckily my buddy needed one because he wasn't not able to get one. So the second one, if they don't cancel it.
Yeah. So even though they say one per customer,
it let me put one of each SKU because I just tried. I got in the line for one, and then done. I tried for the second one, and it worked. What's funny is so when he tried to get it, it immediately canceled his because I beat him. I got both of those before he managed to get in line for either. And because of the address clash, it canceled his because there were already orders at my address.
Yeah. I mean, my friends Drum and Lynn both managed to get Walmart orders, but they only need one system between them. So, they were going to let me have the other Walmart pre-order if I couldn't get my own. But eventually, like about 1:30, I finally got through Best Buy. So, by the way, this bridge here, so this connects the town over here to what's this? Fall something? What's it called? Skingrad. And then this is the castle over here, and like the Duke or Governor or whatever the guy in charge of this town, whatever his title is, his like second-hand man on one playthrough I did of this game once was just like dead under this bridge. Like he just,
good old Bethesda.
Like he walked off the bridge to his death. And I never saw it happen. So if there was anything, you know, semi-important that he did, I mean, he was not required. I don't think any character required for like main story progress can actually like permanently die. Now I'm curious because we've got a lot of darkness kind of here. I mean, of course, it is cloudy. I did set for the composite decoder. I set to 7.5 IRE, but you know, if I set to 0, we can see a lot more detail, but we lose true black. I wonder.
Yeah,
let's see. Maybe we can compromise by turning up brightness a bit so that it won't be.
Yeah, it was the stream was getting crushed. The blacks are getting crushed.
Yeah.
Did my audio change for the better by chance?
Yeah. You're pretty good now. You're pretty good now.
I just switched microphones off and back on Discord because
so we're
turned
gonna
off my mic basically.
We're gonna compromise here a bit. We will lose true black, but I think that's fine. So let's see. Ooh, is that the shrine that I did earlier, or is that a different one? I always like stopping at those. But I was hoping I could find something to cure my disease. And Skingrad, let's see.
So diseases are permanent in this game, at least until you find a cure. It's not not just like a damage over time type
I know
thing.
that vampirism is. Let's see what is my status here. Maybe I don't have it. Maybe I'm fine.
Tony's asking, is anybody not impressed with the Oblivion remastered graphics? Like the character models, like watching Digital Foundry doing a video where they played them side by side. Like at first I was underwhelmed, but watching them side by side, it is a pretty sizable, and the lighting, because it uses lumen ray trace lighting. Even if you have that off, it goes in software mode. It does make a pretty decent difference, at least on PC side when I start on the lumen stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think some people like take issue with just like changes in color and stuff like that, but you're always going to have that with remasters. Like, you know, you're always going to have, you can't please everyone. You know, there's going to be artistic changes. You know, that's just how it is. I'm pretty open-minded about that stuff, and I am excited to play it sometime. This world, you know, definitely has. It's less mountainous than Skyrim, obviously. So, you know, even though you can kind of like cheese your way up mountains that you shouldn't be able to cheese your way up in Skyrim, you know, it's still much more difficult to like get atop places in Skyrim compared to Oblivion. But it's pretty easy from the outside of Oblivion to just go like almost anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, that's a big appeal to the game. I know that much. Like, to be able to, you see that mountain?
Yeah.
You can go there.
Now, of course, you do just reach an artificial boundary eventually, for better or worse. So yeah, I don't know how to tell if I've got that disease. Would it appear as a stat up there, or?
Yeah, see if anybody in chat knows that where to check if you had a disease in the game.
Yeah, I don't know what menu would display it.
In the chat and see if anybody says anything, if they know.
Maybe it's maybe it's not a permanent thing until I cure.
It just in general, what permanent stuff doesn't seem too common, but I don't know this. I don't know Oblivion very well at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know for sure, like, if you don't cure vampirism or whatever leads to vampirism within a certain time frame, then it's permanent. And you are a vampire, and you have to should show under effects. Oh, Days as a vampire. Next bitten. Yeah, that's on this screen.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Days of the Vampire. No. Jokes told. It tracks how many jokes. It says disease is contracted 1. Yeah. So
yeah, but can I see like where it's
active? Mr. Dot's offended that you haven't told me jokes. Apparently,
I haven't talked to any NPCs this whole stream. Where?
Magic. A says it's under your magic tab.
Under magic tab.
Last tab of your spells.
Active effects. I see. Well, I guess I'm fine.
You survived your disease.
Okay. But see, active effects, water breathing. It's just a permanent Argonian effect, and that's why I love to be Argonian. Okay, so I guess I don't.
Do you spend significant amount of time underwater in the game?
No, but I like the idea that I could.
Are you scarred from playing Sonic the Hedgehog and drowning with that anxiety inducing music?
I mean, I had actually not played that much Sonic before. I remember this guy.
Or this game. Did you visit a shrine that would have cured your disease?
Oh, okay.
Dimensium says. Somebody says Argonian is pretty resistant.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Well, I did see here. It says resist disease. Oh, that is Argonian disease resistance, 75.
Rose is enjoying the mullet in the game, I guess.
So let's see. How do I get? I kind of want, while I'm here, I kind of want to see if there's anything interesting I can do.
Red Lover wants to see Elder Scrolls 6 have an Argonian only city you have to go underwater to reach.
Ooh, that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good.
In my mind, as soon as I read that, is Phantom Menace is playing in my head. You know, Qui-Gon Obi-Wan putting it in the breathing pieces and going down to the Gungan city.
So I guess there was a whole thing about like episode 3 was like back in theaters or something.
I was there Thursday night, and then I was at another movie last night, and the theater was packed with people seeing episode 3.
Wow.
It's doing gang. I heard Thursday and Friday night alone, it did $30 million. And it's a 20-year-old movie that you can watch for, everybody either owns or can watch for quote free on Disney Plus, and people are going to see it in theater, and I friggin' love it. Like,
that's
mind you,
awesome.
everybody that knows me around here knows I'm a massive Star Wars fan, so I love to see that. But what was great is anybody who's showing up to a 9 p.m. showing on a Thursday night to a 20-year-old movie is going to be a dedicated fan. So we basically had the equivalent of a sing-along of Star Wars Episode 3, where the entire group of us in there are just memeing the living crap out of every scene. Every memeable part everybody's chanting along with. It was freaking brilliant.
That's
I loved
awesome.
it. It was, I loved it. But yeah, I almost went and saw it again last night. I was debating on it, and a buddy messaged me like, "Hey, want to go see The Accountant too?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm in." So saw that instead, because I have like an unlimited pass for AMC because I live right behind an AMC. So I just go to the theater.
So
I get my $25 a month worth out of that pass.
So I feel like I remember the story.
No one even knows who did it.
Take care.
Oh, I should probably turn on. Where did I? Oh, general subtitles. There we go.
I'm through talking to you. Oh.
Where is? Oh no, better not pick that. I remember this. I feel like the story was interesting regarding the Duke or whatever the role is here. Because this guy's he's a vampire.
Spoilers.
But I want to say he was a nice-ish vampire, but maybe
That
not.
explains why.
I could be remembering wrong.
It explains why the room is so dark. Like half this building's getting crushed on stream compression.
Yeah.
It's the darks. Somebody asked, "Is he a sparkly vampire?" No, this I think this predates Twilight slightly. Before all of that junk started.
Mm.
Or at least the original release of this does. The Count of Skingrad is a civilized vampire. How nice this makes him is never really explored.
Yeah, I mean, he may still be eating a lot of people. I don't know.
Ats or some apologize, not sure the pronunciation there. Say, you know what would be cool? Downscaling the remastered to your CRT.
I mean, I do wish I was playing on a CRT, but it was a little easier for me to just set up down here.
Composite to a gigantic OLED. That's a choice, sir.
But the compression should be a little better out here.
Speaking of OLEDs, my new centerpiece is coming in less than 48 hours.
Oh,
I've got a 77 G5 coming.
Oh.
I've always bought like the best value hunted. They waited until the stuff's like almost a year old, hunted for the bargain. Like that's always what I've done with TVs. So it's always like the year old tech, even if it's still really good. The G5 was like a major upgrade in quality, and what they did made it significantly brighter without the need for the MLA layer. And it was time to replace my GX under warranty, and so I had to still. That took a chunk off, but it's still not cheap.
How much did that take off?
My GX was because my GX was open box, so they gave me the full value of what I paid for it, which was $1,700. So took $1,700.
And that was because you bought
TV.
that was because you bought the super warranty whatever.
Yes, because I knew, like, going in, I knew what OLED was about. It had OLED. It wasn't my first OLED. I've had multiple. I knew they would eventually,
Exactly.
I knew I could make a case for, even if they didn't have a problem. And mine had that problem. A lot of the X's in one generation, a lot of them developed due to lamination problems. A lot of dead pixels. Mine had hundreds of dead pixels.
Yeah.
All four sides had dead pixels within an inch of all four sides.
Yeah.
And when I say dead, I'm talking literal hundreds.
Yeah. So I mean, for the people at home, like I know you. I mean, and maybe I should have done too. I mean, not that I've got any problems with my C1. Well, to my knowledge, I'm not going to go looking for problems on my C1. I'll say that.
Of course.
I don't want to know about them. But to my knowledge, I don't have any issues still. But
if you know you're going to replace it.
You always, strongly recommend though that people get like Best Buy's like top end warranty, whatever it's called, because they will, when you're ready to upgrade, they will, or when it's the end of the period, they'll take it back for almost anything. You really don't have to justify it.
Well, they still come out. You have to they send somebody out to look at it. You do have to have a legitimate problem, though. You can realistically over 5 years, because there's two types of warranty. They have the one where you have to pay. You pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee, and then everything you buy from them gets 2 years of Geek Squad warranty. Or you can buy a warranty for each device in varying terms up to 5 years. And I purchased a 5-year warranty, knowing there would be a good chance there'd be something wrong, especially with OLED, even if nothing else, just deterioration, because I knew that this display was it's used a lot, so I knew there would be degradation on the OLED by the time it's 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I knew that warranty would pay for itself by far.
Yeah.
So I got that. I called and told them after, it was easy, though, to do it with the dead pixel issue, because even in any dead pixels, they'll do it. And when I had, easily visible hundreds of them, they come out, they looked at it, and then they gave me an approval later that day. And the approval, you call up, and then you could do a direct replacement for free. The smart thing would have been, I could have gotten an equivalent, since they try to repair the TV, but they're never going to have parts for 3 or 4 year old TV.
No.
They could have. I could have done a direct replacement for free if I wasn't wanting to upgrade size and be just like pedantic about I want the best that I can get right now. 65 G5, so they would have given me the equivalent 65-inch G series. If they had any G3s left, because those keep popping up, I would have got that. But I think those finally worked out. So I could have got a 65 G4 on a straight up replacement. And obviously financially that would have been a much better choice of a 65 G4 for free, or I spent what would be, 3,800, 2,800, and then plus put the warranty back on, which can cost more for the replacement TV. Because the warranty is not included when they replace the TV, because the warranty goes with the original. So still, I could have just for $2,800 that I paid for the new TV, or just gotten a 65 G4 for free. But I wanted to go bigger, and I want that G5 for it got brighter. It doesn't have the MLA layer, which actually there's some issues. The MLA layer has some minor downsides. To getting rid of it fixes those. And also, a PC game on it, and it's a higher refresh rate. It's 165 hertz.
165. I thought C5 only goes up to 144, right?
I gotta double check on the C5, but all the previous ones, the G4 and the C4 were 144.
Okay.
And I know certain models of the C4 are only 144, like the smaller ones, the 42. The larger ones might be on the C5 up to 165, but the G5s are definitely 165. Yeah, I've been excited since the day they announced those, so I'm ready to.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that, like, if you're choosing between a C4 and a C5, C4 is more worth it right now, but
yeah,
G5 sounds more of an upgrade.
Yes.
I guess.
The G5, every few years they do. There's some are iterations, some are big updates. It always depends. Like the GX and the G1, there was no the G1 was a big update over the GX. Then the 2 wasn't anything big over the G2. But then the G3 was a big upgrade over the G2. The G4 was pretty much the same thing as the G3, but then the G5 is a big upgrade again. And the C's have
G3 the first one with like the micro lens or whatever?
Yes, the MLA. The MLA layer allowed it to be a lot brighter, but it actually caused some issues, especially if light hits the screen. If you have anything less than perfect darkness, it can have some issues with the MLA layer, impacting the way the image looks. But it doesn't end up being an issue once they remove the MLA layer. So the G5 removes the MLA layer and gets brighter, like significantly brighter. Like this is one of the biggest jumps that they've had in terms of year-to-year brightness increase. Let's see here.
So this I don't remember this location at all from my years playing this in the past, but this is Goblin Jim's cave, and I just love that because it makes me think of that idea that Coury and I wanted to do many years ago, called we wanted to make an April Fool's video called Hidden Gems, like Jims, like find characters named Jim, like kind of background characters like hidden in games called Jim.
My favorite Jim wouldn't be a background character though. It's still, you could throw Jim Raynor. You got to pull some StarCraft out, but he's not exactly hidden. Kind of the main character, or one of the two main characters.
Oh shoot! How? What button do you? Nope.
Oh yeah,
I used to think this was really easy. Why am I screwing up?
This was difficult. Like, yeah,
have I forgotten how to do it? I thought you just like click when it gets to the top.
I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong.
Well, I used to. I mean, this is another reason I like doing stealth stuff, because I used to think that this lockpick game was easy, but I obviously forget how to do it. Don't you just like tap it up and then? I thought you hit the button when it's at the top, but it's not working. You gotta lock it perfectly at the top.
You have to tap it on the way.
Oh, on the way
back
up.
Down. Oh, is it?
Or on the way down?
You have to lock it perfectly at the top, says one person.
Everyone is giving conflicting information.
It's either at the top or while it's falling, or right as it starts falling.
Well, I figured it out either way. Whoa, hello. Oops, I did not mean to put that away. I would like my torch out, thank you. I want my torch. Thank you. I have no idea if there's actually anything cool in this cave, but we're just here to explore anyway, right? Wait for it to run. You know, and a lot of people's sense of the timing could also be distorted by like what kind of lag the TV had that they like originally played this game on, right?
And how terrible was the lag on those 768p TVs people like me were playing on at the time? It was awful. Especially the fact you're sending 720p to it if you're on a console.
Yep.
And 720p, then waiting for the TV to upscale it, and then put it out on these really early generation LCDs in 2006. For 2006, it was it was bad.
Yep.
But I didn't notice it bad on PC, but I was still, because PC was my main thing. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I initially played this on PC, like I said, but I did later at some point replay it on PS3, which was, I don't know, probably worse than I could have done on the PC, but whatever. I mean, most people would probably be very confused that by the fact that sometime after I had originally beaten Half-Life 2 and the episodes on PC, sometime later I replayed it on what? The PS3.
That's
dedication. Why? I just did. I just did.
Nope.
You know what? You know what?
I'll bet.
I kind of defend that version whether I should or shouldn't, because for one, Valve eventually fixed it up, right? Because like they didn't do the original port. EA put some other team on it, and it did not go well. And it didn't go well. And they patched it up themselves. It came out a bit better. And but the can I stealth hit this guy? Ooh, my sneak skill increased. Yeah.
I just looked up trying to make sure to get the quote right on what Gabe Newell said back then about the PS3. And man, it's like I thought PlayStation was finished. Former Sony. Oh, that was a different reference. But Valve boss Gabe Newell slagged off the PS3, calling it a quote a waste of everybody's time.
Wow.
And the latest attack on the console.
And then then he came out like at Sony's E3 to announce Portal.
Yep.
But anyway, the thing that I think is kind of cool about the PS3 version that I am pretty sure is not possible on the 360 version. If you hold the start button for a second or two, it does a quick save. Which is actually pretty nice. Like you don't have to you don't have to fully pause the game to, to do a safety state, as I like to say, right? Your most recent save, you can do it while in live gameplay, and I'm pretty sure you can't do that on 360. And I actually feel like that's a pretty nice quality of life feature. Oh, Charizard Oreo says
what a name.
says that PS3 version renders 720. Oh, I think they were talking about not Orange Box. I think they were talking about Oblivion. Yeah, PS3 is, like I said, it came out like a year and a half, 2 years after the 360 version. So it is, I think generally actually considered the better console version, except, for playing on the original hardware as I am doing now, on 360. On 360. I was going to take Sandy out earlier. I just remembered, but she stopped.
Oh, yeah.
She stopped staring at me like she wanted anything. So, I guess she's fine. It's mostly.
Charizard, where you want to.
It's mostly just wanting attention and not actually needing anything,
And now you got the calls for Sandy in the chat. Sandy.
Yeah, she didn't come running when I sneezed.
Yeah, no. Usually she's out.
Yeah, maybe
barking and making up a fuss when you sneeze or yell or cough.
Where is she? Just laying over there. She was acting really strange the other day when I was gonna go leave and get lunch, and she was just acting really weird. I got out of the shower and got dressed and was gonna get lunch, and she was just acting strange. And I didn't figure it out until I got back home, because it was like kind of a strange place, like just a wee little piece of poop was on the carpet, and she gets very upset about it. She feels very self-conscious about it when it's very rare,
right?
That I guess she just had a little bit more in her, and she was very, like, I figured out, like, oh, that's why she was acting weird, because because when I see it, I'm always like, what is that? How did that happen? She like really keeps her distance from it, like, I don't like that either, and I don't know if I had anything to do with that. I don't know.
I don't know. You got EB Chill with $2. God bless you, Try.
Thank you.
Super chat for the sneeze. Just say a little Sandy Dingleberry, says Chris Watch. It happens.
It happens.
You have an animal, you're gonna deal with. You're gonna have those dingleberries on occasion.
I know. Well, I mean, she's got very long fur, right? So
Yep.
I check every time, before we go inside after she's done that, just to be sure. But obviously there was something a little more that I think both of us overlooked. Ooh, I could just. Oh, there's enemies nearby. Dang it.
No quick trial for you.
And Charizard Warrior says PS3 version does lag a bit more in the open world. And it has a strange vampirism bug. Huh. Interesting. So there are differences. I mean, overall, the best way to play this on console right now is obviously Series X. But I would say the other versions are not far behind. The other, other backwards compatible.
You mean the original, at least, the non-remastered version.
Right. Of the original release. That's what I meant. Which, it's going to be what some people are going to want.
The backwards compatible up to frame rate when you play it on modern Xbox?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I was saying, like I was saying, it does have FPS boost. So I don't know about Series S, but Series X does have Series X, or excuse me, 1X has boosted resolution. I think it was said that the 360 version has is like actually 640p or something like that, but so it's probably a 3x boost. So I'm not sure if it's actually native 4K. It may or may not be.
Charizard Oreo saying 1200p on Series S at 60 FPS or 1800p on One X
that's
at 30.
That sounds about right, because I think typically games that get a resolution boost on Xbox One X get a 2x. Games that have resolution boost, I think, get a 2x boost, or excuse me, 3x boost on 1X and Series X, and 2x boost on Series S, but not 1S.
Yeah.
1S gets no boost. And then I don't know if Series S gets the FPS boost, but it does. So you've got near 4K at 60 FPS.
He's saying 60. He's saying it's 60 FPS on Series S at 1200p. So
where's that goblin? I saw him.
Both modern versions are 60 FPS. Just the only difference between 1200 and 1800p.
There he is. Gonna bust his butt. Sneak attack for 1x damage. I might have to level up more to actually get extra damage. Whoa. He fell down there. Whoa. What are...
What? There's a shadow of a goblin or something attacking? Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay, he's got invisibility on. Whoa! Oh, and then there's a dude here too.
Yep.
And a zombie. Okay.
Well, now you can see him. He's on fire.
See, I don't know about you, but just something I don't know. I just get a lot out of just like, oh hey, let's just see what's in this random cave. I don't have like a quest here or anything, but I'm just, I don't know. Something about that works for me.
Yeah.
In these,
I wandered into a random like almost chapel-looking area yesterday when I was playing 2 days ago, and God, I had a heck of a time getting out. Like it was not a simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Out.
Like I just. To me, I think it has a lot to do with how this game functions. In that, like, you know, you and everything else in it kind of live and die by the same rules, right? You know, you're all governed by the same stats, the same skills and abilities, and like, you know, I don't know. There's just something about like how fragile, I guess, like the whole world is in a way that you can just like manipulate all these things in it, and like I find it compelling, like even whether I have a relevant objective or not. So I am level 2.
And that's kind of like, as I told you, we were talking earlier, like the only real open world RPG I've spent significant time with, unless you're counting the Zelda, the Zelda Switch games, was Cyberpunk. But because I'm more, I really like the aesthetic of that. You know, the environment is more my speed there than your kind of fantasy setting, medieval or fantasy. And so and so that was a lot of fun in that game as well, just to explore what you can randomly. Just I really like that, that the cyberpunk aesthetic. It was such a great looking game, a lot of detail, and of course I kept playing it over. Now just loaded it up on for 4 generations of graphics cards. So it was always from a tech, because I started on a 2080 and then a 3080 Ti and then a 4080 and now a 5080, because I'm a tech person that buys more computer equipment than I should. But usually my upgrades have actually turned out pretty good financially, because I've usually been able to buy it and sell at the right time, so it's not as expensive. But as it sounds,
you're very good at that. It's a talent.
Well, I got lucky. Like I stumbled into a reasonably priced 5080, and then went on Facebook and recouped most of the cost of my 4080 super really easily. I listed it for a reasonable price, not the maximum everybody else was trying to sell for, but still, so I sold it pretty quick. But that game's just so much fun to watch it evolve over the time. And I've only played it a little bit now with 5080, just because I've got a 480 hertz monitor along with the TV. So when I'm not using the TV, play it with the multi-frame gen stuff, and maxed out all the path trace lighting. But just the whole aesthetic of the game, even outside of just the tech, is the game's just great to look at. I love the whole gritty retro future.
So what's your impression based on the Switch 2? I was listening to DF sort of give their impressions of the Switch 2 version, but I was like driving, so I wasn't. Yeah. I haven't really looked at the video of it. Part of I don't own any version of Cyberpunk, and I know I could be playing a significantly better version on PS5, but part of me is tempted to get the Switch 2 version just to support complete on cart third-party games.
Yeah. No, because if anybody doesn't, I'm sure everybody here is aware, that's one of the few games that launched.
Maybe the only one. The only third-party game.
Third party, yeah. No, yeah. I think it's the only third-party one I'm aware of that's actually full game on cart and not a game key card as of now.
Yeah.
However, let me just throw out there, for people who haven't seen, I don't know if you saw it when I posted it to the Discord, VGP, one of everybody, most of our favorite video game retailer around here, VGP is in talks with publishers about getting reprints of games for Switch 2 done on full-size cartridges.
So in other words, they might send the game cards to retail just to get sales, but VGP knows there's an audience for it.
Yes. As Stefan just pointed out, Marvelous gave a statement on their games are also on proper cards and not just.
I don't know if are they actually making launch though? Any Marvelous games?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that I don't think so, but at least it's great that they're out there saying that they're going to do that. And I'm sure that might be a limitation of launch because the rumor is that
there's only 2 gig and 64 gig cards and nothing in between, which is insane.
Likely a limitation of how Express card slots for the Express works because it's basically PCI Express. It is a similar technology to an M.2 drive. And think about one of those for every single game. There's going to be minimum capacities that the manufacturers are willing to put do for that.
So why are they willing to make but once things ramp up with Switch 2,
hopefully we see some more variety in it. Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
But back to the Cyberpunk, yeah. For what I've seen, the game looks really impressive from like the footage I've seen Digital Foundry put out. They were able to get turns of the things they put up. It was really impressive. Mind you, it's 30 FPS. There will be a 40 FPS mode. The game's still struggling with a 30 FPS mode right now, they said. However, the build that people are playing is 7 weeks old in terms of the porting, which is absolutely insane to think about the game being ported in a playable state, in any playable state, in 7 weeks.
Well, I heard it was 7 weeks old, but I was under the impression that there was confusion about what that meant, and I was under the impression that it meant. I'm having a hard time finding my way out of this cave. I was under the impression it meant that the build was 7, like that build was made 7 weeks ago.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay.
I think that's
I know there was some different
what
stuff.
It means.
I know there was a back and forth. I thought the back and forth was just that section was what took 7 weeks, and some people were thinking.
But also, the part that Digital Foundry had access to, which they said they thought was not the smartest move.
Yeah,
it was the expansion area,
which is a much more detailed area because it was made for much later. It didn't have to be made with any constraints of, 8th gen hardware. It wasn't, Xbox One and PS4 because you couldn't get that stuff on those. It was for PC and modern and 9th generation platforms only. It's definitely going to be interesting to see, though. I really like. I'm not a big 30 FPS fan. The idea that running at 40 is infinitely better to me, just because that's halfway. Frame times are halfway with the way the calculation worked. The frame times.
However, with the obviously you don't have to have VRR for 40 FPS to work, but it would be good reassurance. And I think we still don't know what's going on with.
VRR
for
VR advertisement was pulled out from the Switch 2 from the dock mode. So I'm hoping that just because it's not available at launch, maybe they're still working on it.
Or like they found more incompatibilities than they were expecting. So maybe they're just like they're playing.
Hopefully, they don't remove it from the firmware.
Yeah, I'm hoping that would be a very Nintendo move to be like, oh, well, we want everyone's experience to be consistent. So let's just remove that. But you know what? Like, Nintendo has been a lot more forthcoming, I think, with some of the tech than expected. I mean, we weren't expecting them to embrace
1440p mode alone. Surprised me.
Yeah, 1440p. There's a
Sony
lot of...
didn't even do that until 2 years ago. Maybe.
Oh yeah, and the implementation
well into the PS5 life when that happened.
Yeah, the implementation is not Oh my gosh, if I found the way out, I might have found the way out. I thought I'd never get out of here.
Don't
I
you
tried
have that
to
spell?
fast travel out of it, and it was like, you cannot fast
Try.
travel.
Isn't there that spell you get at the beginning of the game that shows you how to get to the next quest destination?
Oh,
Clairvoyance,
that sounds like some newfangled
is that a remastered? Okay,
remaster
I didn't
stuff.
know.
If you ask
I told
me.
you I've only played the remaster a little bit, but I barely touched the original.
It might not be, but I don't know.
If you look at your spells, see if you have one, like, because that should guide you. I just assumed that was part of the main game. Like they wouldn't have added new spells to the remaster.
The only
but it was an available
I
spell
have
at the
are
beginning of
absorb
the game.
health, flare, and heal minor wounds, and then I've got some spell scrolls. Yeah, that definitely sounds like
that is some remaster. You're right.
I don't think Bethesda would be capable of programming the pathfinding on that in 2006.
Yeah, probably. You're right. I didn't even think about that. I would just assumed it was part of the original.
Yeah, that sounds very. That doesn't sound very 2006 to me.
This remaster, you start off with the very first spell that I was given was I want to say it's called Clairvoyance, and it creates this little like fairy dust trail to show you how to get to your next destination.
Oh, there was a $5 super chat from Potbelly Punch, who I believe we saw in Milwaukee. Thank you. Saying the composite glow is just so warm and cozy. DF says Switch carts cost $16+ to make. Most third parties will opt for cheaper key cards, unless like people just don't buy them. But then they probably just won't make physical at all. I really hope that they can expand.
The average person though, that's not going to be a deterrent. To all of us here, that will be. But there are a lot of us that's not going to be a deterrent.
But VGP, I mean, it sounds like to me, if you're interested in a Switch, oops, I should unequip that torch. It sounds to me if you're going to be interested in a Switch, to third-party game that's on a key card, you should, and you really want the physical, like you should be patient and see if VGP will take care of it.
Yeah,
that's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah, the VGP is tried, and the fact that they've got publishers signing on from what they've said, that is incredibly. Because it sounds like the publishers obviously don't want to eat that $16, and they know that if $16 is a hard thing, if they want to sell a $60 or especially a $70 game, and they want to put it on the shelf, and they just sell it at $85 to keep the same margin as a $70 game, that's not going to fly with the average
VGP
consumer.
Audience, though, I think is looking like they understand they understand the value of complete on cart. And
yes,
they would be willing to pay,
probably
depending on
depending
on, I mean, not for anything, and certainly only up to a certain level, but people might be willing to pay 10, maybe even 20, depending on circumstances, more if this truly is a complete on cart.
Yeah. Because hopefully we get some smaller ones, but with them being 64 gig and the 64 gig being rumored to be $16 per cartridge, there's a good chance, if that's all that happens, and if the rumor is true about it being to do with the size of what's being built for storage for express card for the connection, has to do with the amount of connections to the actual flash memory, the same way you have to do with like RAM, you have the amount of channels going to it to get enough bandwidth to hold the stuff at the rated speeds. We might see a true limitation of 64 being a minimum. From what the rumors are, they're unsubstantiated at this point. So I do stress they're rumors or what we think, but that very well could be in the case. So we'd be looking at least $15 extra for a physical game, which, and a lot. Which there will be some cases where I definitely think that would be justified. Your average, your average lower dollar game. Case in point, when I bought recently a physical of Cult of the Lamb on Switch. I like Cult of the Lamb. I really only played it on PC, but I was like, all right, cool. I'd like to have that part of the collection, so I bought the physical because it got really cheap. It got $10. The fact is that the game's normally $30. Cult of the Lamb, if it was going to be on the shelf, it would have been $50. Like, that's not gonna sell. Like, when you have to put in an extra 16 to 20 bucks, it's gonna be a hard sell, unfortunately. Versus, they're not gonna sell enough to make it worth it. Of a key card that costs them a couple of dollars to make versus one that costs them $16 to make. When the average consumer isn't going to be willing to pay that, the people who walk into Walmart and buy games, or GameStop, your average person who buys 2 to 3 games a year, or the parent who buys a game for the kid, just they don't care. That doesn't mean anything to them, sadly.
Yeah, I was optimistic about the key card thing at first, because I was like, oh, it's just like clearer branding. It's better than a code in a box, but yeah, I've like definitely like since then I've definitely been like especially seeing how they're much more prevalent than expected. They're much more prevalent than code in a box, right? So
I was excited for your small publishers that would never go a physical, other than needing somebody like Limited Run or Strictly Limited to reach out to them. Like, hey, more are going to be willing to do that. And then what became readily apparent, at least for the launch cycle, it's not what's happening. What's happening is capitalism's doing what capitalism does, and everybody, the big publishers taking advantage of that. I'm like, oh wait, we can put this out and reduce our cost by over $10 a unit, which is, at the scale they put out these units, over $10 a unit is astronomical. They're just going to utilize that, sadly, and we're just going to see that more people do basically what Take-Two, or I'm sorry, 2K Games has done their entire time on Nintendo platform and WB, and ship a whole bunch of games that effectively are just license keys, but on a cartridge. Capcom half did it as well. How many games? Capcom games had only collections supposed to have multiple games, and they only had 1 or 2 of the games, and the rest were download. Makes me very sad about that. But yeah, I would be willing to pay $16 for a lot of games.
Yeah.
I'd pay that extra to have it. Maybe not. I'm honestly, it'd be the hard sell on every game. The lower value games I buy just because, hey, what the heck? I'll buy that because it's cheap. Even if I'm not, it's a game I super care about. It will make that more difficult. But the real sad thing is, I thought it was going to stop the worst kind of Switch release, and that's the code in a box.
And Split Fiction is that.
Freaking Split Fiction. EA is doing what EA does, and they're kicking it off with screw game key cards. We're gonna just give you a piece of paper because
I would like to think
$2.
I would like to think Joseph Ferris is mad about that, but won't say so publicly.
Yeah.
Although not that he's one to hold back, but that might be one thing that he can't say anything about. Well, not that I have any clue what his stance on physical media is, but I feel like he would probably understand that that's seen as uncool. I'm actually really, I'm not going to buy it, but I'm actually quite curious what the Switch what the Switch 2 version of Split Fiction is like.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see.
I mean, if someone had it, I guess I could try it out through their friend pass, Oh, was there another super chat? Oh, I see from Jason Hubbard, $10. Thank you. Saying, let's pour one out for pioneering age of HD gaming. Yeah.
HD gaming at 480i here.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, But man, this game was so crazy ambitious for the time. I mean, it's so interesting. Like I think everyone's first Elder Scrolls is their favorite. And I remember when this came out, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Morrowind is so much better."
It's everything ever. Yeah, people are gonna always crap on the new
Yeah,
thing.
and I felt like for a long time no one was sticking up for Oblivion, but I think with the remaster coming out, like I think a lot more of the Oblivion fans are coming out of the woodwork because this was my first, and I just get so much satisfaction out of just like doing really aimless stuff in this game. It's very satisfying to me for some reason.
I have to point out some Dark Soul in the chat says, "Imagine when Skyrim gets a remake," and I have to say, not sure if just unaware or if borderline trolling.
Well,
because
I mean,
you can't remake a game you've never stopped making. Has there been more than a 24-month period? Some version of Skyrim didn't come out new and better than the last one.
Yeah. I mean,
14 years of remaking the same game
it's not
over and
remake
over
though,
again.
it's a remaster.
Remaster, yeah.
So I guess I will, just for the sake of having something to do, I will actually like go to wherever the next main quest point is. Which
Revo says Switch 2 edition when? Yeah, let's get Skyrim Switch 2. I'm sure we will. I bet we do.
This cannot be.
No
one but the Emperor.
Skyrim Alexa remastered. Yep, the fact they released that was great.
I mean, based on what you're telling me, it sounds like I should not necessarily be expecting a Switch 2 version of Oblivion Remastered.
This is the Amulet of Kings. Who are you?
Oh, well, because the CPU limitations on this game, this particular one, they'd have to do a lot before they ever considered putting this on Switch 2. But
I mean, I guess how consistent is the 30 FPS on Series S though?
I believe you.
But I don't know, because I was watching the video for that earlier, and it was about 7:55 when I got to the section when I was eating dinner of the Switch for the Series S version is when they got to that about 7:55, and so I turned the video off so I could get into the chat here with you. So I haven't really gone through that to see how the Series S plays it yet, but
well, I see Potbelly Punch saying Steam Deck really struggles with 30 FPS on Oblivion Remastered at all low settings.
I did see that. Like all the people playing on handheld, the Steam Deck, it's nearly unplayable.
I mean,
better on the others. The faster units.
It might not be a straight comparison of like, the Switch 2 is better in all these areas, and the Steam Deck is better in all these areas, but like I do get the impression that on balance, Switch 2 is more powerful than a Steam Deck.
I'm gathering
it's kind of unclear.
I'm really interested to see head-to-heads, because raw power, definitely not going to be as strong as the Steam Deck. However, there's a lot to say about the magic of what they're doing with DLSS and how much stronger that is than FSR. And so that will go a long way in making things seem more powerful, but when you can run them at a lower resolution, but still have a much nicer result overall.
The other thing to keep in mind as well is that Switch 2 is going to be able to tap into resources beyond Steam Deck when docked.
Yeah.
Steam Deck does not have a high power mode when docked.
Yeah, well, because it was made as a handheld.
Right.
But devil's advocate here, Steam Deck is portable as a 15-watt machine, where the Switch is on portable, like pulling. And we don't know exact power on Switch 2, but the Switch 1 was somewhere around 5 watts of power on handheld, and they're going to be a little more, but probably similar on Switch 2. So there's no way the Switch is going to will in handheld pull 15 watts, and it's. So in docked, I'm curious to see. We probably won't see much more than 15 watts. So that's something to think about. Nintendo is much more sensitive to battery life and cooling like in terms of actual temperatures and volume, like actual like decibel levels, than Valve is with that, because Valve has Nintendo has a more wide type of consumer base, where Valve has a much more narrow. Like, there are some more casual people that own Steam Decks, but it's definitely a more serious, already PC gamer, or at least adjacent to it crowd. That's.
I mean, it's hard to imagine someone that has 0 Steam games, but
But there are enough people that have no real PC gaming setup that have got it.
It is going to be interesting though to see what it's going to be interesting to see, like, if to the extent that it can even be determined for sure, like what the impact is that Steam Deck will have on Switch 2 sales. I mean, I do think it's fair to consider it a direct competitor.
It is, but I think a very small amount of the user base.
I think it's going to be small,
but knows about the Steam Deck.
True, because they don't sell it in like Best Buy.
Exactly, you can't. I'm not sure if I don't think they ever got. I'm going to look right now, because obviously you can buy all the other handhelds.
But I think in general we can probably expect, like, this is just me guessing, but like probably in the ballpark similar-ish.
No, it's not a best
between Steam Deck and Switch 2 handheld, probably, maybe. But I think Switch 2 will go beyond Steam Deck and docked for sure. I think.
Maybe a little, and I think that might come down to the extra abilities of the combination of between DLSS being more powerful than just using software to do it with FSR, and the fact that there's less overhead on storage with the Switch, because the Switch SoC has a dedicated decompression block on it, so it's not actually needing to use CPU cycles to decompress assets off of storage. While it's not a huge amount of CPU time, when you have that low of a power draw, any CPU time is a big deal. So that actually is going to save CPU cycles versus a traditional PC platform like Steam Deck. So I think you might be right, just because it'll be newer and the tech is just there. But we'll have to see how much power the Nintendo limits it in docked mode, because the Steam Deck pulling 15 watts. I'm curious how much, like, I want to look up what the power target on the Switch is in dock mode. Let's see.
I don't know if we know for sure, but the power supply is rated for 40 watts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they also rate that assuming you want to play a game and charge at the fastest speed that they want you to charge at simultaneously. I'm curious how much the original Switch pulls in docked mode, because I actually was not.
Yeah, well, they did say that the Switch power supply can be used for charging the Switch 2, but cannot be used to power the dock.
For dock mode. Yes, because it's going to be plenty to charge it, and play in handheld, but not play in the dock profile. But the power isn't drastically different between Switch 1 and Switch 2 power supplies, I don't believe. I've got to double check those numbers. I think they were a little different, but not worlds. I'm looking to see what people. It looks like 17 to 18 watts docked mode. Some people saying they're measuring it at 16, some saying 17, some say 18, depending on the game they're playing. So around the same power the Steam Deck is pulling when you're in docked mode. People are seeing that real world power. And that's obviously then powering a tiny bit for the dock itself, and then a little bit probably to top off potentially the run battery. So it's going to be quite similar wattage, or between the Switch 1 and the Steam Deck. So Switch 2 will probably pull more than that. Yeah, so it might have some advantages over Steam Deck for sure. Supply wattage. What's the actual wattage on the? When I say that, there's literally one on my floor over here. I could go look up, but 39 watts versus the 45 that's on. I think it's it. Yeah, Switch console. The charging brick can do 39 watts. So yeah, I remember it was somewhat close to the 45 on the new one. 45 watts. So if they're keeping same charging profile, same overhead, similar overhead, we're looking at an extra 6 to 7 watts of power. So if that's pulling, we'll call it 18, so 24 to 25 watts, which is what Stefan also put in chat. Like he'd estimate based on 45. Sounds about right. So 25 watts. It would be pulling definitely more power than the Steam Deck when it's docked, where the Steam Deck doesn't ramp up. But
what do you want?
so it might be more powerful than that. But of course, it's apples to oranges. You can't compare. You can't compare against different generations of GPU tech, much less through multiple different vendors, AMD versus NVIDIA.
Oh, just a little short
x86
of-
versus ARM as well, where x86 is less efficient, so the wattage doesn't go as far. So yeah, there's a good chance it could be when the dock mode switch to likely is going to be a good chunk more powerful than the Steam Deck. But that's to be expected because you're outputting 4K, hopefully playing in somewhere around 1080p, which is fine. Where the Steam Deck is only realistically built to play 720p class games. And that was when it was released 3 years ago.
Skingrad's wines are the best in Tamriel. I invite you, try them for yourself.
Of course, just talking about in terms of AAA, when you go, not trying to push graphic boundaries, you can run anything at high resolutions and frame rates.
And the rainfall more reliable. Some words should be shared only by friends. Take care.
Time for Charmless to do some day drinking in the vineyards.
Either way, we're about to be an interesting time when the Switch 2 releases for people that like actual digging into the tech. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to learn about it.
Fat Ramp Camp.
Fat Ramp Camp.
Fat Ramp.
All right. Sounds like time to get the bicycle and go hop over some fat ramps. After you clear out of this guy that wants to kill you first, maybe. Now get the bike and do some sick jumps.
We'll take his most valuable gear. And his boar meat.
Take his boots with the fur. Yeah. Mr. Dot's doing some fat tricks off some fat ramps.
Oh man, look out there. There's some Oblivion texture there. Yeah.
What are we looking at? I'm waiting on the stream to catch up. Oh, the rocks.
Oh, the
Oh God, I see now. Oh wow. That's some
I mean, you know what?
Making me think of the
There's
PS1
or N64.
Well, I was just making the Hagrid from the Harry Potter game on PS1, the meme that's always around.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah.
I think it's Hagrid is his name. I'm not a Harry Potter person. Like from that one.
I've seen that meme. Yeah. It's I'm pretty sure that's somewhere you can't go, so they obviously didn't detail it out. But you know what? Oh, I'm already at the invisible wall here. You cannot go that way. Turn back. Yeah, people always thought that was lame. Further. There's just an invisible wall. Like, that is beyond the bounds of this game.
As Ego Dreamer puts it, low poly, high charisma. True. That sums up this game pretty well.
But you know, there's no detail in there that Composite can't resolve. That's
Yeah.
It's got to count for something.
Who needs detail when your output's this blurry?
I love how, like, when you're in a place like this, you can just see, like, against the white sky, you can just see the composite rainbowing, just sparkling against the sky. And
It adds character
between the foliage.
It's
It does.
like the Sega Genesis with its terrible composite, but that gives you the blended waterfall effect.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was thinking about doing the PS3 version at first, but then I was like, no, people actually have nostalgia for playing. More people, I would guess, have nostalgia for playing the 360 version in composite. So I was like,
We got some fighting words in the chat for you to try.
Oh.
You see the message from Kaylee Gamer right here, the last message in chat. Composite 360 here is still 1,000 times better than N64 HDMI.
Oh, come on. Oh, come
Ooh.
on. Oh, come on.
That's bait.gif.
But I would say, so when I mean, of course, it could have been the cable, but I found that I found I had better. I would say that the 360 output I was getting with composite was more rainbowy than what I was getting out of PS3, but PS3 was noisier, just had a lot more moving noise in the image. So it's hard to say which is worse. But this is a Xbox 360e model, which I don't think it can even do. I don't think it can do. Oops. I don't think it can do component or RGB or even S video. It comes with a 3.5 millimeter 3.5 millimeter composite to like composite and stereo RCA. So it's not very. Oh, that's literally all that's in this cave. Oh wait, no, there's more. Yeah, so I don't know if the character of the composite from this system compares to the other 360 models, but
I've never seen anybody do a comparison of the composite quality of the three different 360 main generations.
Yeah, like how does the launch model compare to a Jasper? You know, we need to get the best Xbox composite here.
Castlemania or Castlemania Orion's in the chat with $5, just saying hello to Try and Henry.
Well, hello to you. Welcome. I don't know if Coury will be popping in at some point or not. He might be getting home about now. Actually, he said it depends on how he feels. Oh come on, I can do this. You know, even as I'm, dang it, even as I'm failing, my skills are increasing. Dang it.
Your security and skill increased.
By losing all my lockpicks. Oh my god.
You got a decent amount at least. They don't seem to be too hard to come by, it seems.
No, they drop from enemies fairly often. Okay, let's auto attempt. I'm not sure. At least I increased my security before. I was just like, yeah. Let's see. I think I got some. May as well equip
Just
that.
save scum, it says Charizard Oreo. A little harder to do on the console.
I mean, a little bit, but just more cumbersome. That's why I
Can you imagine
said that.
saving? Can you imagine saving and reloading manually every time you lose a lockpick?
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it. Like you said, they're not that rare. But, oh wait, okay, here we go. Yeah, that's why I say that, that is a positive aspect to the PS3 version of Orange Box.
Yeah.
I
Saves
think
coming on a controller.
That quick save, I'm pretty sure it does not exist on 360. Firelight Cave Key. I hear some weird sound. I have no idea what it's coming from. Sounds like a rat stuck to me or something. It sounds like a scampering rat that's just like never catching up.
You sure that wasn't my keyboard?
No,
I don't know if my mechanical keyboard coming through.
It's coming from the game. Will it go away when I get out of this cave? I feel like
in my Bethesda game?
Huh?
Glitches in my Bethesda game?
No. It sounds like some sort of like
anything.
sound effect is like latched onto me. Like there's like this weird scraping, clicking sound.
Try doing a save and load. It's coming from inside the living room. Poor asset management.
Yeah, it is. It's not going away.
You've got a rat in your walls.
Even when I.
Two different people pointed out that it may just be the torch, the fire from the torch.
No,
Both Charizard and Shadow Mask.
Can y'all hear it? That's not it. Here, I'm gonna save.
Potbelly, it's patched version.
Yeah, because I mean, this is this is like the edition that came with like all the content and stuff. Okay, going to load stopped it. It's gone. Shock! It was a glitch. I mean, when I played Fallout 4 last year, I finally played it. I played it like the exact wrong time because, and to be honest, I still don't know if this has been fixed, but at first I was like, man, the VATS system is really bad in this game. Because I hadn't played a Fallout game since New Vegas. And I was like, man, VATS is really bad. And I was going to wait because it's dark.
Mr. Thompson, glad this is being recorded. You may have just found the first glitch in a Bethesda game.
I know. We got to report to them. They have such, they're so strict about
after 20 years, you've uncovered this game's first glitch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, when I played Fallout 4, there was a I think it's weapon and armor. Whoa. Oh, okay. Whoa. What is this? I don't remember that kind of shrine. Oh, I guess it did go.
Now.
Okay, I guess it was just like a temporary thing. Weird. Anyway, okay, now I can wait.
Has the game frame rate dropped a lot, or and it's just how it's coming through? On
It
YouTube?
does.
It's like a lot
it
choppier.
does. It does. But no, so VATS was like broken after they did the next gen, current gen patch.
I did see that. Did they ever fix that?
I don't know. I loaded up the game like before. I was like going to talk about it a little bit more in my games we've played segment, but like I couldn't really tell if it was actually fixed or not. But like either way though, like VATS is kind of worse anyway because it doesn't actually pause the action in Fallout 4. It just like slows it down.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's
Knowledge
you
is
definitely
the
should
key to
pause that. Give you
success
time to
in
think about your options. That's the point of an RPG.
Farewell.
Yeah, so yeah, that kind of stunk. But there were also things just like weird, I can't remember. There was like I ran like really early on. I ran into some weird rendering glitch in a cave where like shadows or lights or something were like really screwed up, and it's like I shouldn't be surprised that a Bethesda game has like these kinds of glitches. Like what? Like basically a decade after its original release, but I want to be surprised. I really want to be surprised.
Surprise you with lots of glitches.
I want to be surprised that there are glitches, but I am not.
That's the character of these games. It's Bethesda's character.
In some ways it is, like,
Yeah.
I know people are like, oh, this like just the first person combat is there's no depth to it, blah, blah. But to me, it's still like all about like imagining how it's working with like all of the underlying stats and those systems. It's not about the quality of action to me. I mean, it's definitely hard to do first-person melee combat well.
Haley Gamer wants you to go and borrow a horse.
Go borrow a horse? I never really got into riding horses in this game.
The game, when I was watching DF play it the other day, and they did their play side-by-side play along of the original versus remaster.
Yeah.
John's glitched, and he was able to like. I think I'm trying to remember. No, I don't remember which one glitched. If it was the OG or the remaster, they were able to push the horse, and they got it way away from where it was. So they took the horse, but no one saw it. So they just stole the horse,
Wow.
and no one was the wiser. Because it wasn't the game. They kept pushing it, and the horse just kept moving away. I think it was on the original. So I think
Alex was playing the original on a period.
Yeah, Alex was playing the original.
PC.
I think that's where it was.
But yeah, I didn't finish that video yet. I would like to see the rest of it though.
It was pretty entertaining.
all the controversy over the horse armor was like my introduction to the idea of DLC. Like
It was basically everybody. It was the first real DLC on a console. It might have been the first period.
Well, I mean, but what about PC? Like, were you familiar with the concept before then?
No, yes and no. The DLC was mostly it wasn't truly downloadable. It was usually physical because it was expansions. Like I've always been a big Blizzard person. I've got a large collection of Blizzard game boxes out here. And there was always expansions, but I've got like a box to my copy of Brood War and Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. It wasn't digital, so I'm trying to think through. I'm sure there was, and then there was monthly fees for stuff, of course, like World of Warcraft, and I never played the others like EverQuest and Guild Wars. But
Yeah, I mean, it was.
DLC.
I knew about expansions, of course, because you know I had friends who were into PC gaming and you know had Diablo expansions and stuff like that. I knew of that concept, but yeah, I just like an item that you pay for that is only a downloadable item. Now I think horse armor and all those other little things were included with like the Game of the Year edition ultimately, but originally it was like a digital product only. And yeah, I remember being surprised and taking a moment. I'm like, what is this thing that people are so angry about? Like what?
Yeah.
Now, what
OG
was the price of that horse armor? I can't actually, like, I wonder if we would like look at today and be like, that's quaint, that's cute.
And there was DLC before that. Somebody's pointing out is sure there was DLC on OG Xbox, but I guess this was the first like true like microtransaction for something minor. Let's see, horse armor cost Oblivion 360.
$2.50. Like no one would bat an eye at. There would be no controversy over a $2.50 cosmetic these days.
500 gold, and if I remember correctly, the translation was $1.25 for every 100 gold, I think. So I guess that would translate to what is it, 625? If I remember correctly.
Joran Mihawk is saying, wasn't it like $10? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm on a random Elder Scrolls wiki, and it says each set of horse armor costs 500. Or maybe this is talking specifically about the armor pack. Yeah, each set of horse armor is 500 gold.
I mean, you can probably find like an article about it on like IGN or at least way back machine IGN.
Oh, that was in game Microsoft points. I guess gold wasn't. It was Xbox Live Gold. So gold. That was probably.
But what if you were buying it for PC? Like if you were buying it for PC, it would be the same. You know, it would. I would assume translate
$2.50 according to this article. This is actually an article from this week, but it claims it was $2.50 on 360 and $1.99 on PC.
Wait, $1.99 on PC? That's all the horse armor was?
Yes.
But it's
according
still people are raising a stink about it.
They'll be here any minute, I'm telling
well, the fact that it was the first time we were buying cosmetics in a game, basically cosmetics in a game.
Yeah. Like that was a totally new concept.
So yeah, there was DLC on stuff on PS2, Xbox, and according to this, potentially even kind of sort of GameCube stuff through GBA games. But yeah, Xbox had some DLC stuff. There was some online downloadable content on PS2, including Ratchet and Clank, Burnout Revenge, and Jack X. But most of this content was available for free. I know there was some stuff available on Dreamcast era, a couple of VMU downloads through the web browser. Trying to see like what was the first real.
So something I just remembered, or maybe I'm remembering wrong here, but I think I'm right. I want to say, so when I was like, I was like bartering with that lady a while back, and I think I could have like got rid of all the stuff I wanted to get rid of, actually, because I think they changed this starting with Fallout 3, but
Hope is gone.
The barter system, like it used to be like, I think starting with Fallout 3, it was like the NPC has a set amount of money, and they do get that money back over time, but they have a set amount of money that they can give you. I think in this game, they have a maximum amount of money they can give you per item, but I don't think they have a limited amount of money. So when I saw 200, I thought, oh, I can't sell her more than $200 worth of goods, or 200 gold worth of goods.
It was a per item cap.
But I think, now that I think about it, I think it's a per item cap. And because I remember I always like would like find like a seller that I would like regularly go back to.
if you mean the priest, but Sanvley and Matt. You'll find him at the barricade.
Seeing anything else before this?
Stop talking.
Stuff.
Oh man, you can always count on red to really be red on composite, right?
Oh. I remember like red on some on CRTs and even some plasmas.
Will just
I remember
bleed like
causing
crazy.
noise. Like that noise.
Mm.
Like, do you have a TV where that you can notice the noise on certain colors?
Not that I really. I mean, plasma in general has noise problems.
Explicitly plasma. I remember because I had like in the plasma community, like the VT50 is like the goat. That was like the one everybody loved. And I had one when I got divorced. I let my ex-wife keep it. I really, I couldn't justify taking it as well. My ex-wife kept it and then eventually died. But I noticed that thing when reds were on the screen, there's like this buzzing noise, and I occasionally had that with some CRTs as well, certain colors that would just, and often red would just cause this buzzing. But I always had could always these really weird frequencies. I noticed that back with the CRT 60 hertz thing we've talked about before, where nobody else ever heard it, but I could hear it. I could tell you if there was a CRT on within like a freaking.
I thought it was like my own
feet.
special skill.
Yep. What's weird is I didn't hear it. I legitimately felt it in my neck. I could feel this vibration in my neck, and everybody around me, mind you, because these are usually always people older than me, and now I have it now too, where your frequencies, fall off as you get older. Thought I was crazy. I'm told them, no, I can tell you there's a CRT running at 60, other than PCs that are running at above 60 hertz, a 60 hertz PC monitor or a television is on somewhere within this house, and I can tell you it, and I can tell you by my neck. People thought I was crazy most of the time. I am crazy. That's a whole nother thing, but I can this. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I like, it was always in school. I'm like, I wouldn't say anything about it, but I'm just like, that TV is on. It doesn't look like it's on, but I know it's on.
Yep. That was also one of the things that made me PC game more than anything. Is because at least on my PC, because I had dealt, a lot of times Trinitrons around, I could run those at a minimum of 75 hertz, and so they didn't mess with me. The 60 hertz signal, like I could feel and hear that, and it was really off-putting to me. And so that's where I spent more time with PC stuff because, well, I didn't have to deal with that noise. Because once I could bump, because I usually ran my stuff like 85 hertz, like 1600 by 1200, because I'd buy off-lease 21-inch Trinitrons, the type of stuff people will pay a lot of money for now. We used to get for $50 to $100 each. To the point I had many of them. I had because we land at this one location, and I bought extra and just left them at the LAN party center because I was there twice a month, and so I didn't have to lug a 70-pound display back and forth. I just left one there. But those off-lease CRTs, those were the killer deals back then.
So
but running them at 85 hertz was so much nicer.
So Kvatch seemed kind of hard. I mean, I know enemies kind of scale with you, but I might be, maybe I'm not quite ready to take on Kvatch. Does anyone remember where the Thieves Guild stuff starts? Does it start in Bruma? Or I could go, is Door to Nibbin Bay, is that Shivering Isles? That might be Shivering Isles. Maybe we can go to Shivering Isles. Let's go there. Shivering Isles rules. Good old
definitely never made that.
Sheogorath. But yeah, I mean, did you? I saw people talking about the key cards and stuff again. It made me think of Cyberpunk again. I mean, based on what you saw, like, you know, other than obviously, you know, it being between 30 and 40 FPS, and hopefully maybe better, you know, or more consistent by launch. Like, did you like and resolution? I'm sure. Like, did Cyberpunk look good? Like, aside from the fact that obviously you're not getting like the path tracing features and stuff, but I wouldn't have that playing the PS5 version anyway, you know?
Oh, path tracing obviously is not going to be in.
Yeah, I mean, but I wouldn't have that regardless, because I would be playing the PS5 version.
Right.
It would be between it would be between Switch and PS5 for me, and I kind of want to get the Switch version just because of its complete on cart.
Yeah. Well, and they have a complete on disc PS5 version now as well.
But it's the same
when they
price.
released
It's the same price as the Switch version.
Yeah. So, you know, just keeping that in mind, if you're just buying for completeness, you can get a complete PS5 with the Phantom Liberty expansion version. I was trying to see if I was looking around literally just now if Digital Foundry had posted the footage, because they posted direct footage to the patrons for a number of games that they got from Nintendo, but they weren't able, I guess, to post the stuff they got directly from CD Projekt Red. They didn't post that. I know they've had some stuff in the directs, which I have watched, but I mostly listen to. But I check the directs out every week. What I have seen from there and what footage they've had put out looked pretty reasonable, especially when you consider if it's handheld or if it's on a Switch. It's, you know, not as anywhere near high quality of playing on PS5, but so far I think I would argue it's equal or beats the stuff you're going to get on any 8th gen console.
8th gen being
PS4.
PS4. Yeah, I don't keep I don't keep.
Yeah, I know.
I don't keep those numbers off the top of my head.
Like with everything, because the game was not made realistically to run on PS4 and Xbox One. I'm sure you clearly remember all the big controversy at the release. It didn't run for crap because it really wasn't made to. That was kind of a last minute thing. It was designed for PCs and the next generation of devices, but they're seemingly doing like a pretty good job of scaling it down for the Switch. I'm just, if they can get it running solid frame rate. I know Rich has been really unsure if they're going to be able to hit that 40 FPS performance mark. He's even gone as far as said thinks they should just ditch that performance mode from the performance he's seen. He doesn't think that it's going.
But
to
he mostly
scale.
saw DLC content, right?
They played some other areas as well. Like they went back to the launch area because they had some direct hands-on time with the game outside of the Nintendo event, where they did play it there. The Nintendo event where it's just at the beginning showed off, but they had direct time with CD Projekt Red later, at a different time. And I think if you look, they put out a video about that.
Your money or your life.
I want to say a little over a week ago. I think they put it out for patrons a little over a week ago. I think it came out Monday for everybody. Talking about, I think they called it a Switch Direct. Let me look to see the latest videos. I'm on their Patreon or their digitalfoundry.net archive right now. Okay, just a heads up, Coury just messaged, said he's not going to make it on after all tonight.
Okay.
He just sent a message to us.
No worries.
But let's see here. I'm trying to. That was today's 27th. Where is that? Bonus material. That's for a different game. Let's see where they put out that. Here we go. DF Direct Special, hands-on with the Switch 2. They talk a bit about their video they released to patrons on the 18th, and I think they released it on the 21st to YouTube. talking about their hands-on time, and because they played it with CG Project Red, and they said they think they'll probably be able to get closer to the 30 FPS lock, but Rich isn't too confident that the 40 FPS mode will work out based on what he's
However, since VRR is provided by G-Sync, isn't like the native LFC low frame rate compensation window for G-Sync much lower than like VRR? Whoa, what's going on here?
In theory, yeah. If they're using it the same, where you can go with low frame rate compensation, you can effectively go as low as anything with the right programming done. We obviously don't know what the VRR range is for the Switch hardware, but yeah, G-Sync goes down. What is it? 30? G-Sync. Of course, that often is based on the display you're using. VRR range. It goes lower than. Usually is 410. Yeah, these are all talking about 30, but then with the right coding, you can go below that if LFC is set up so it just runs stuff at double the refresh rate. So in theory, you can run it anything.
I suspect Nintendo is going to go for more of the Microsoft route than the PlayStation route for how VRR and video output are handled, in the sense that you just set it at a system level, and it's not like something that launches depending on the game. Which I think it's a little annoying. Like, I wish it just, I don't know. There's pros and cons, I guess. Like, it's a video I've thought about doing. Is kind of, I don't know if venting is the right word, but maybe venting a little bit about how frequently you need to go into the video settings on
the PS5,
and perhaps to a lesser extent on the Series X, but I definitely, especially PS5, if you want the best on like a game by game basis, because I know like PS5 is like trying to make it easy, but if you actually like really care about specific things, like, okay, I want to use black frame insertion with this game. Well, you need to turn off VRR. You might need to to toggle other settings. Oh, I want to use VRR with this game, or I don't want to use 120 hertz with this game because, maybe it doesn't look that steady in VRR. Maybe, maybe the 120 hertz mode is unstable in one game, but stable in another game. Like, you have to babysit these settings so much more than most people think. Like, and I want to say, like, I mean, in some ways it's complaining, but in other ways it's a curse of my own making, because I'm like, I specifically want to do this with this game or this with that game. And so the game can't know necessarily, but it's still, I don't know, there's still a frustration aspect to it that could probably be alleviated by system settings or by developers targeting this or that more consistently. I don't know, but there's definitely an annoyance to some extent, I would say.
I definitely say I think you were going to be a vast minority of people in that sense, in that even as detailed with gaming as I am, I've virtually never gone into the PS5 menu to toggle any of that, mainly because I'm personally only using BFI on retro stuff. I'm not using it on anything modern.
You go for PC pretty heavily, and in which case you're mostly like targeting a much higher resolution or using VRR or something like that.
I'm tweaking stuff like crazy on PC. Don't get me wrong, on PC, when on console, I'm seeing it. If I'm on a console, I'm just more or less I set it to 120 VRR and leave it at the maximum settings, and then tweak going from there. On PC, like I told you, I spent 2 hours screwing around with Claire Obscure, getting stuff and modifying DLSS.
Oh, and see, that drives me crazy. I mean, it was actually Skyrim that like kind of was like the aha
that's
moment.
Its own special hell of breaking it with modifying.
Oh, well, yeah, but this is me playing it day one, right, on PC, and I like spent a whole day like trying to tweak like it was probably like an INI file or something, like trying to force the shadows to look better, because I thought the shadows like looked, especially like self shadows on people's faces, was driving me nuts. And this was before there was really any mods or anything. And I was just like, oh, this looks so bad. And I spent a whole day trying to make it better. I'm like, why wasn't I just playing the game? And I feel like that was definitely a moment where I'm like, man, I don't know if PC gaming's for me.
Trust me, I get there like, how much time did I just spend? Like, I made earlier today when I started playing Claire Obscure. It was the third time I'd sat down to play it before I ever left the balcony the main character spawns on after the opening cutscene. Because I turned it on last night and I started playing with stuff, and then a friend messaged me about I played with it, and I'm like, I'll eventually get to playing this. All right, cool. I went to go, I don't remember, I think eat a snack, and while I'm eating a snack, I'm about to sit down and actually play finally, a friend messages me and about going to go see The Accountant last night. Like, let's go see The Accountant. Like, sure, I'm always up to go see another movie. And so like, well, I'm done. I'm done, and I'm not messing anymore with this now, because we went out to go get dinner and go see a movie. Then I sat down today to do it, and then I was like, well, I wasn't happy with where I left off with the visuals before I was just going to play yesterday. So let me start, and then I ended up in a rabbit hole figuring out how to, because the NVIDIA app didn't want to work right, so I figured out how to inject DLSS 4 into the game using Special K, and I got that set up and working, and I got it tweaked, because there is some image quality weirdness with PC. Like I said earlier, it's only if you're like a perfectionist you're even going to notice, because it's not rendering at the correct resolution that it says it is. If you try to render it at full res, you're going to do some. I did some tweaking and got stuff running a bit better, more clear, and then like I sat back down for the third time, like, all right, we're finally going to play this. And then I've got like a whopping, and I got about 2 hours of actual gameplay. Yeah, and Stefan's asking about that. Yeah, I've got just past that first optional boss that took me a solid 45 minutes to an hour to beat, because I died about 8 times.
Well, that is a big part of why I like console games. Like, I might see something, I'm like, oh, this is annoying. I wish this was configured differently. But the fact that I can't change it, like, I just get over it and move on, you know?
Right.
Like, and I appreciate that, honestly.
No, I definitely understand that.
So yeah, I've actually never fully replayed Skyrim, like I played through it when it was new, but I've never, I've like, gone around like the PS4 version or something, like killed the first dragon probably,
but yeah, the most Skyrim I spent, I played through a large chunk of it, but didn't complete it. But that was around launch, so it's been a while. I've restarted it half a dozen times since then, but I never get super far.
Well, I mean, this is honestly the kind of game where I think you can get, like I don't know, like there's like most RPGs, since story is often like a big focus, like you really need to finish it to get full enjoyment out of it. But I think games like this, even maybe to an extent games like Xenoblade X that I was playing last week, like I think can get a lot out of them just by just goofing off in them, really. Like you don't have to do the main story. I've probably beaten the main story in this twice, but I've many more times just started playing it and goofed off or did like, I remember one time, I played the whole game and did like, I was the leader of every single guild in the world. Like I had done, I might have even done Shivering Isles, Knights of the Nine. I did everything except I never talked to Joffrey at the chapel who tells you to go to Kvatch, because if I went to Kvatch, then Oblivion gates would start appearing everywhere, and wandering around the world is a little less pleasant when there's Oblivion gates everywhere. So I did everything except the main story, which is so unusual for me. Like normally I would not get a ton out of that, but it's really interesting how they kind of do the, kind of the simulation of atmospheric scattering, how it gets hazier in the distance here. I mean, it's, for the time, just like being in a world like this, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can go over that. I think you can go. Yeah. That's a crossable river. I'm going to be going into this water where I will get to utilize my Argonian superpower.
Gonna go talk to the fishes.
Well, I believe this quest marker is for Shivering Isles, which is honestly much more interesting, I think, overall than probably the main quest. Do you know anything about Shivering Isles?
I know the name, but I literally know nothing else.
It's oh no, slightly large enemy crabs.
Attack their weak spot for massive damage.
So the Daedric Prince of, I think it's Madness is what he is the prince of? The Prince of Madness. Sheogorath is the ruler of the Shivering Isles. It's I believe it's one of the Daedric realms, and so as you can imagine, a storyline revolving around the Prince of Madness, who has an extremely Scottish accent, is a good time. He's definitely a fan favorite, I would say. The area I would say that the Shivering Isles takes place in is definitely a little more like he's a little closer to Morrowind. Like he's got like big mushrooms and stuff.
Okay.
How do these tree leaves hold up? I guess they're just billboarded because they're always facing forward. Before I go to that quest marker, though, oh, there's a Nern root over there. Always gotta be collecting them Nern roots. Get that Nern root. There's like a little, the Nern roots are actually kind of like the CRT wine effect. They make like a very subtle, high-pitched sound.
Oh, when you're near them.
When you're near them, yeah. I forget exactly why they're so desirable. Like I think they can make a really good potion, but I think they might also be needed for some quests or something, either in this game or Skyrim. I can't exactly remember, but yeah, they're one of the more like, ooh, gotta grab. Like there's plants that you can grab all over the place, but I usually don't bother. But for when I see or hear the high pitch of a Nern root, I'm like, ooh, gotta get me some Nern root.
Farm those Nern roots.
Mm-mm. Let's go to Brazil and see if we can sell some of this stuff that's nearly over-encumbering me. Over-encumbering. Real Smash Brothers players play Melee on Nernroot TVs.
Yep.
I wonder if that Nernroot sound was inspired by someone having that same thought. Like, I can just feel, I can sense when the TV is on. Because, you know, when this game was developed was, wait, why is this horse blocking the way to town? However, you see that, you see that red icon. If I do that, I'm going to stop right there, you criminal scum.
Right.
And
Yep.
I'm not in the mood for dealing with that.
Don't want
Hey,
to kill all the
Sandy.
guards.
What's up? You gotta go pee now? Door to the Fair Deal. Let's go shop at the Fair Deal after Sandy
The
pees.
fair deal. Right back. And Sandy had been sleeping, but he knew she was waiting to go out. Yeah, talking about the monitors, John. Yeah, they've had a 32-inch monitors from both that have the QD OLED panels and WOLED panels. If you want I've got both. I've used both extensively. I like WOLED for most things. I've discovered OLED monitors aren't the best thing for text. That's probably what was helping with the headaches that Clabby mentioned. The weird headaches from OLED. The text rendering is less than perfect. They're amazing for gaming, but for text content, yeah. Even though I'm using a QD OLED right now. It's at my work desk I'm sitting at in front of. That's where the only place I have a good webcam set up. The text is less than perfect on those. If I was doing just text on a display, I would definitely stick with IPS. But for all the gaming stuff, I've changed everything to OLED, and yeah, there's no going back at this point.
Did you say
You'll always get a fair
did you
deal
say
here.
headaches from
Come yellow.
OLED?
What can I get you?
Clabby mentioned that they have just set up a 48-inch C4 in the game room and love it. But they had a 32-inch LG OLED monitor that gave them weird headaches.
Huh.
I think what I discovered recently is I don't notice as much on my 4K because I'm using a 32-inch 4K QD OLED right now. That's why I'm looking at the stream and the text on here. If you get text real close on OLEDs, on both type QD and WOLEDs, the text just is not super clear. It's a big issue a lot of people complain about. I've noticed it's even worse on my WOLED, the 1440p 480 that I have. The text just is not the way that the subpixel arrangement is. The text is not clear. It's not as clear as it should be. If you read a lot of text, as much as you know me, I'll tell everybody buy OLED for all kinds of stuff. But if you're doing like text work, yeah, it's still better to stick with an LCD for that purpose because it's much nicer for reading text, especially in smaller font and like your more traditional desktop style font. And I think that's likely what led to Clabby's issue there, I would assume. Well, yeah, Trout has used the 32-inch QD, not QD MSI. I'm not using the MSI version, but I'm using the exact same panel in the Dell one I'm using right now, the Alienware 3225. That's what I'm reading right now. And some people may not realize it. And if you scale as well, if you don't run 100% scaling, like on a 4K 32-inch, you might be, if you're using, say, 125% scaling, or just zoom in on your text, it makes stuff a little better. But if you tend to use 100% scaling, it's a little more noticeable. And I definitely notice it more on the 1440p's than the 4K displays, because obviously there's the pixels per inch, there's fewer pixels per inch, so it's more obvious. I'm not using any scaling on my 32-inch QD OLED, and it's not as noticeable. The WOLED is Siri going off over here. What the? Now my Siri's yelling at me in French. I have no idea what just happened. Yeah, he's using 150% scale. So yes, that helps with a lot with it. It's called text fringing, the problems that people see. I use 100% because I use this 32-inch for the screen real estate. So I do want all the small text. So I notice it. And then this 27-inch where I sit close to it, because that's just a dedicated gaming monitor at my gaming desk. I definitely notice the text a lot.
I haven't fully decided on like what. Like I think I'm using 125% on the that 42-inch C2 I brought back from Coury's house.
Yeah.
I think I have set to 100, 120, 125 right now, which I think I think I like. I mean, it doesn't scale things that matter, like images, video windows. It's like it just scales like text and like interface stuff. I could move it a little closer to me, but I don't think I would like that. And also, I notice it does have like a wee teeny tiny nick on the screen, like in the lower left, but it's actually pretty hard to see, especially against like gray. It's like almost invisible against gray, which like most of the time, I'm going to be using that monitor for something like Adobe Premiere, where like the interface is gray. I can't see it. Like it's fine for the, I got it for $400. Like it.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like if I was going to be using it like it's like a like to play a lot of games on, I'd be more disappointed. But it is what it is. I mean, I think that that place largely had the screens that they had for a reason. Because Coury's GX like does have those streaks in it. And I did actually notice actually when I threw away the box for that 42-inch C2 that it actually had an Amazon return label on it. Said from like Rochester, New York or something. Yeah. So
that sounds about right. That these places there's a big business these days, if you're unaware, buying Amazon returns. Most stuff that gets returned to Amazon doesn't get resold there. It goes onto a pallet to resell. There are 5 or 6, 7 different businesses here in Orlando that just are Amazon resale places.
Interesting.
They buy stuff by the pallet, and they're buying stuff in bulk by the pallet, and then most of it's junk. They put it out in like flat fee. Here's like $10 an item today. Anything in these big troughs, and then they they hold on to big ticket items like TVs and video game consoles and stuff like that, and sell them separate. But yeah, that pallet resale is a major business right now. Anything Amazon's not 100% positive on, they think there's anything questionable at all, they don't resell it, which makes me curious how I guess it would be too much inventory to put just on that Amazon resale, what used to be called warehouse. I buy a lot of stuff from there, but they have enough returns that they have too many to put on there and legitimately sell them all, so they liquidate them and sell stuff. And that's how you get there's so much used stuff there from people that buy stuff and then return a used item and that are similar item. It's if you go to those places and see the stuff people return, it's hilarious and sometimes quite disgusting.
I think overall though, like, I mean, for the price I paid, I'm very happy because I would not have paid the price for a brand new 42-inch OLED to use.
The 42s hold a premium. Just so you know, right? I think the sale ended yesterday, but there was the 48-inch were on sale recently. The B4 the middle series, the B series, the 2024 models, the 48-inch yesterday was $550 at Best Buy.
Yeah. So
Yes. I debated like, could I make use of this? If I didn't use a standing desk for work, I thought about trying to do that. And I could just get 2 cheap, 48-inch and use those full scaling and push them back. But it's like, no, I'd have to mount those, and I use a standing desk. The desk I'm sitting at right now, I stand a lot when I work, so not just sitting still all day.
Oh, I guess I can't do Shivering Isles right now. I guess I have to.
Really? Do come in.
It says
Lovely in the aisles right now. Perfect.
it says I need to be a champion, so maybe I have to be.
Oh.
Maybe I either have to beat the main game, or maybe I just have to do Kavash. I don't know, but I guess we're not going in there today. Maybe I can.
Also, those B series were on sale $1,000 for the 65-inch yesterday. Like, that's for an OLED with. It's just not as bright being a B series, but the deals are out there when people complain about OLED prices. You just gotta shop around.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it in a lot of ways, like I got, like considering I was able to get such a good deal on that 42-inch, like $400, like that TV wouldn't have been good for like almost anyone else if you think about it. Like having a nick on the screen like that would be definitely annoying if you were going to be playing games or doing any real entertainment on it. But I feel like considering like I specifically want it for doing work on, I feel like not many people would have bought that TV for that purpose anyway. So like it's like, okay, like that in a lot of ways it feels like I was meant to get that OLED, right? Like I don't think I need to feel like I don't feel that bad about, because it's like, you know what, this has an imperfection. The price was extremely fair. And it's really not a problem for my specific use case. Like if I was going to be playing games on it, I'd be more annoyed, but it's fine. It's totally fine. So
Yep, that's
because I would not have paid like the price for a new one.
Yeah, no,
like for that purpose, I would not have.
Right. If you could go bigger, like the 65, that 48-inch that can be had these times under $600 frequently lately is a really good deal.
That is kind of crazy for it's the LG. I mean the seats.
Yeah.
Oh, is it B series?
It's a B, which is the B series. Has
60 hertz, right?
No, it's still 120.
Oh, really?
The B series, on the B4 is still 120. It's less bright, but if you're using it as a monitor,
I already have the brightest turned down anyway.
Exactly. Then at least in the past, I think they used to limit it to 2.1 ports on the B series. I don't know if that's still the case or if they ever went up to 4. But that
again,
was one
for
of the
a computer monitor, that's fine.
Exactly. For your secondary display or just a computer monitor, 2.1 ports is more than fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like they might have upped that. That might have been old information. I'm looking it up to see if it was still only 2.1 ports. But actually, it's still on sale today. The sale said it was supposed to end yesterday. It's still at 2 hours left. So if somebody wants a 48-inch OLED for $550 if you're in the U.S., Best Buy still has a sale on for another 2 hours and 3 minutes.
That's a pretty crazy deal, I would say.
And it's all 4 ports now, or 2.1. So they're not as bright, but everything else is just as good. And if you're using this as a monitor, you're never going to turn the brightness to full anyway. Like, it's you're gonna turn it down so you don't sear your eyes.
Yeah, that sounds quite appealing, actually. But unfortunately, 48 is too big for my
the space you got.
Yeah, like the 42 is really pushing it as it is.
and for gaming, because I still have there's a 48 right here beside me. I use it as a monitor, my primary monitor for a long time. When gaming, it would be a little overwhelming at sitting at the distance I sat, but I found the best cheat in the world. It saved GPU performance and made gaming better. Created a custom resolution of 3200 by 1800 in the GPU control panel, and that would tell the TV to do one-to-one pixel mapping. That shrunk the screen to around 40 inches. If you do the math, I think it's 40 inches. 1800 divided by 2160 to get the percentage, and then times 48 gave me around a 40-inch screen. And it ran it at slightly lower than 4K, so it was easier on my GPU. It was like, so it gave me that small image. Of course, you're still taking up the space. Smaller image, it was easier to take in the full thing, and that's how I gamed most of the time on it. Or sometimes I would set it to 3440 by 1440, or sometimes 3440 by 1600, do an ultra wide, and it would just be letterbox on all sides, which is OLED. The pixels are off when you do that, so it's having a perfectly black bezel. It's not like you have a glowing backlight around it.
Yeah. I was watching a video on it. At first, I was watching it full screen. And there was like a variety of different types of gameplay clips and stuff, and I was surprised, but it actually, like, sitting is like, I don't have it as close as it could be. I do have it back a bit, but it's still relatively close, much closer than I'm used to, like, playing games on. I haven't tried playing anything on it, but I was pretty surprised, actually, that, like, I was like, especially when, like, it was like first person gameplay clips, like, it actually did make me feel a little nauseous. Like, I have only very rarely felt nauseous with, like, first person gameplay.
Yeah, I never had that, even when I played, because I still had the 55 at my desk when I was playing Doom 2016, and that was actually really difficult to play at a desk with a 55-inch screen.
I would think
close.
so. I mean, it's very rarely happened. Like, the main time it happened was the original Half-Life, for whatever reason. It's very rare for me, but I wonder if part of it had to do, like, it was a combination of, like, being proximity and also, like, watching it but not playing it, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's almost that VR effect.
It is in the car. Also, in the car is different. The car's sick. Some people get that way, but they don't get it when they're driving, because your body knows what inputs to expect.
Yeah.
You're pushing the controller. Your brain knows, okay, I'm pushing this. I should expect my vision to move this direction. So, yeah.
What happened?
So I think that's likely something that could be related to it. You're not in control of the movement your eyes are seeing, and so your brain's getting confused.
My Warhammer is broken. I forgot. I mean, I guess I can fully forget durability is the thing. Actually, I think I have some repair hammers. Can I? Oh, yeah, I can do it a little bit myself. Get some skills. There we go. I honestly didn't remember that being that easy. Okay. You know what? I'll use the mace for a while, though. Just because.
Ariel Aces said, Ariel's he only nauseous from watching was a Cloverfield in the theater. Ended up leaving the theater and throwing up. Afterwards.
Interesting. You know, I don't know if I've ever seen a found footage movie in a movie theater. But obviously that's that's a bit of a different kind of found footage movie, though.
Shaky cam, it might be a little tough. I watched those at home.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't get motion sick too often. Although I definitely could in VR if I pushed myself too far, but like I kind of know like what pace I can handle in VR, right?
I've only ever spent time realistically with attempted to use two VR headsets. One was the Quest 2 that my buddy that lives here has, and that always gave me a headache. I don't know if it's just because of the low resolution screen door effect, whatever it was, lower refresh rate of that older unit. But then I just actually bought on a killer deal, picked up a PSVR 2. I attempted to use it about a week ago for the first time. Actually, it was during the stream last week, so it was a week ago.
Oh.
I hadn't even used it yet on my PS5, but I got the PC hookup kit. I bought one of the PC hookup kits, and God, that thing is so uncomfortable to wear. Like I found some kit on Amazon that I got to get. That it's going to cost me like at least like $50 or $60 to try. It apparently makes it more comfortable, but it hurt my nose so bad to wear that because the only way I could get the IPD set right. Apparently, I have a very narrow IPD, and setting it as narrow as I needed, that headset physically hurt to wear.
Interesting.
And so I could not play it for more than a few minutes. I bought Tetris Effect on PC just because I wanted. My thought is, well, I know that's a good OLED game, so and the PSVR 2 is an OLED, so like let's strap an OLED to my face and play with pretty colors and fireworks.
Yeah. But sadly,
it hurt it physically hurt my face.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and it was really disappointing. I keep hoping they'd release like a version of the Quest 3 with OLED, because I know I've heard John go on and on about it. Of course, I know you used John's Quest 3 and then bought one.
Yeah. You do, like, most of the time it's totally fine, and the motion clarity is fantastic on it. I will say though, like in games that have some darker some darker scenes, like for example Batman Arkham Shadow. Yeah, the downsides of LCD definitely are kind of like, ooh. But you know, most of the time it's fine. I actually I don't think I've actually used my Quest 3 all year. I need to do that. I actually, what's funny is I don't know if he might actually be watching. I was like, when I was thinking of things to do tonight, it actually crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, maybe I could go. Actually, I thought of this because the Quest app on my phone notified me to Chris Fratt's going online. I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe it'd be a fun stream to play Walkabout Mini Golf with him, because that game is so freaking fun. But then I was like, wait, but if I invite a guest who's going to be in VR, it defeats the purpose of being able to have an extra set of eyes on the chat. So maybe another time. I think that would be fun. I think doing some kind of Walkabout Mini Golf stream would be fun sometime though.
Yeah, I have very little VR time with the Quest 2 hurting me, and then giving me headaches, and now the VR 2 not like physically hurting.
I think if you tried like Walkabout Mini Golf is like probably just like about as comfortable as VR can get, like from like a motion standpoint. You can like physically like you can use you have an option to use the analog stick to move around, but I actually use the teleport option. Like you can teleport, and like the all of your motions in terms of swinging the club and everything, just like it feels exactly like you would expect. I think mine especially on the Quest
screen,
especially on the Quest 3, where it's higher resolution, it's got extremely perfect motion clarity. Like I think, like if you play Walkabout Mini Golf and you're like, ooh, I can't take this, then I don't think VR is for you, because I think that's about as like straightforward of a VR game as you can get.
Yeah, I want to like it because, being a big Star Wars person, there is a Star Wars game that was originally on MetaQuest, and I don't remember, it might have been on PC as well.
Oh yeah, like the Darth Vader or something, Immortal or something like that.
Vader Immortal, and then there's all, which I actually bought Vader Immortal on PS4, even though I don't have a PSVR 1.
Yeah.
Because the physical was really hard to come by, and I searched for a while until I found a good deal, and I just bought it. But then I've also got a physical, which I got a hell of a deal on because it's becoming an expensive game, and I got it for $35 on Facebook. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge for VR2. It's enhanced on because it's PS5, because the only other version is native Quest, and I know Meta Quest is basically a low-end cell phone. So I can't imagine I can imagine the PS5 version is going to look considerably better and more smooth than playing on the Quest version. But like that's one of the main things I wanted to play. I had that game long before I had a PSVR 2. Because I found a good deal on it. And the game's approaching $100, if not over that, for an ESRB copy, and I got it for $35. And because I collect the Star Wars physicals of Star Wars games. If it's a physical and I don't have it, and it's a Star Wars game, I'm gonna buy it. If it's when I find a reasonable deal, especially on a rarer title.
Yeah.
But I want to play it, but I guess I need to try to see if I want to spend $60 or whatever on that comfort kit for the PSVR 2 to see if it helps me.
What was I gonna say? I saw John Hunthrop in the chat say Gran Turismo 5 is so good in VR if you ever get it comfortable for you. So when I was at John's house, I not John Hunthrop, but John Lineman. I was at John's house. He like set up, GT5 on the PSVR 2 with the wheel and everything for me. I really am not. I do not really take to like sim type racing games.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's why you said that. I'm sitting here skeptical. Like,
but
you playing Gran Turismo.
I wanted to experience that though, like, because it's considered one of the best PSVR 2 use cases, right?
Right.
But with the wheel and everything, and being in VR, like, but I felt uncomfortable driving like as fast as I in theory could. Like I felt much more comfortable. I actually found the PSVR 2 to be surprisingly uncomfortable because it was surprisingly enough not the jump over PSVR 1 that I really hoped for. Mostly because yes, it's higher resolution. Yes, it's OLED, and the PSVR 1 OLED is not perfect black levels. It's kind of similar to the Vita where it's not perfect black levels, although I would say worse than that. I would say worse.
On the VR 1, you said?
Or no, the
looking for action?
Yes.
Think about the fighters.
Okay, I've never used the VR 1.
What's this weird crowd? Yeah, the Vita, the PS Vita is not perfect black levels. It's very close. I especially since you've got the light shield around your face for PSVR 1, it is not perfect black levels. You have that, but you do have perfect black levels. You have HDR. You have higher density pixels on the PSVR 2. But the thing that really just kind of disappointed me was that the chromatic aberration is so bad. And part of that could have been like I had to use my glasses in it, obviously.
Yeah.
Whereas on the PSVR 1, I did use it for a good while with my glasses, but eventually I got prescription inserts. And I guess I had kind of just gotten used to that. So using glasses in VR again was not pleasant. And I think that the chromatic aberration could have been compounded by needing to have my glasses in there. And I felt like there was just such a narrow range of vision that was actually in clear focus. And I found that to be very disappointing. And for one, when I tried the Quest 3, you know, glasses are much more comfortable in it. And not only that, the fact that it has those pancake lenses and, you know, pretty much everything is in clear focus on the pancake lens. It's just everything around you is clear. And so wearing glasses was not really a detriment. And that was the big difference. You know, all the advances of the PSVR 2 over PSVR 1 felt like nothing compared to the advancement in clarity thanks to the pancake lenses. Like getting rid of that just natural chromatic aberration was such a huge difference. And you know, to the point where it's like, yeah, I will take this over OLED just because you have that, that advantage. So.
Yeah, I might give it a shot, the Quest a shot. I want them to release an OLED version first. Like, I really keep hoping they do that.
Yeah.
And I know if I bought one, they would after I bought the existing LCD one.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. Like, I wonder really what's next for, you know, the Quest and kind of the VR market in general, because like, you know, when the Quest was first introduced, you know, it became so popular that people were like, oh man, it's really disappointing that, you know, all these VR games are just targeting the Quest. So, you know, Half-Life Alyx is like the last technically impressive VR game, right? Is what people were complaining about. And then I kind of feel like there was like a bit of a renaissance for a little bit there. And then now it's like, I feel like just in relatively recently, again, it's kind of turned to, the main market for like Quest games are like, you know, kids playing gorilla tag and stuff. And like, you know, big VR games are like, once again, like, you know,
And they
like,
continue
I guess,
to move it downstream.
You know, my understanding is that, sneak attacks for 6x damage. Heck yeah. You know, I apparently Arkham Shadow did quite well because they got additional funding to do like a graphics update. So that's nice, but like I don't really know what is the future is there, because people keep talking about how like, oh, it's just kids playing gorilla tag now in VR. So I don't know. I hope
That's why they're focused on making them cheaper. Like I don't know if you saw, they released a Quest 3S recently, which is just a cheaper version of the Quest 3.
Right. I think it's got like the Quest 3 brains, but it's more like a Quest 2 screen.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Something like that.
Yeah, just because people that are not looking for quality, they just want something cheap.
I need to get back. I need to probably restart Batman Arkham Shadow. I really liked what I played, but where I was playing, I kept it wasn't continuing to happen, but I was like afraid of it continuing to be a problem. I kept punching the wall. I mean, not like hard, but like my fully extended fist was like just tapping the wall. And I'm like, I am scared to continue this game right now.
To make a little more room to.
It's really good though. It's really good. Yeah, I need to just. I haven't figured out. I haven't figured out how to make more room. I haven't.
Yeah, just thinking about the layout. I'm trying to think in your house, like, because where the heck would you set up in this place? You got so much. You got so much setup everywhere.
Yeah, my main thought is to move. Like it would be tight, but like I could, in theory, move like my bed a little closer to the bathroom. And I think that would open up like I mean, I don't know. I could probably move it two 2 to 3 feet, and then on the other side of the bed, I think there would be enough room to play some VR.
This thing is temporary. You could push back like the couch you're sitting on right now and give you a
Yeah.
lift and make space in the living room.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing like in the, the foyer by the front door.
Wait, take the dining room table out. There you go. Just use the whole dining room. Take the whole table out.
Problem is the hanging lamp.
Oh yeah. Well, then you can.
If it was easy, like I don't know, maybe it's easy to replace that lamp. I like get it. Like I
Just so you know, they
I
make
would
these cheap
consider
lights.
coming up with another place to eat.
Well, if you just
use-
wanted to move the table, they make dome lights now, and I'm looking at one on my ceiling right now. Think about the size and shape of a smoke detector. That they're meant to replace things like those hanging lights. You pull that down, and over that same part, you put in. It almost looks like a smoke detector from here with it off. So that's an option.
I might have to think about that. I might have to think about that.
But then you'd have to relocate your.
Where would I eat? Well, actually, I
dining room
used
table.
to. Like when I first moved here, actually, I used to actually eat in the living room here. I had a smaller. I mean, I had that table. I mean, it's an old table from my aunt and uncle anyway. But that was there, but I rarely actually ate at it. And I had a small table, like by the window. But now I've got like this chair here, and I really wouldn't want to remove that because I need it when there's, 3 people here. So, but anyway,
not sure where the table would go, but
yeah, it's not where dining tables go, but it at the time it worked.
I don't even have a dining room table at this time, like because not many people at a time. I've got multiple tables I use, kind of pull stuff together as needed, but I don't have a dedicated dining room table because there is a little tiny room that was kind of a dining room, and it's holding one of those TV carts like you would have back in school with a CRT on top of it. Where the dining room table should be is one of those modular AV carts from high school with a 32-inch D series sitting on it and a PS2 and some light guns.
Well, whether it's composite or not, Xbox 360 or not, I mean, I think that right there is a pretty shot,
Yeah.
Look at that. I know I didn't really do anything terribly meaningful in this game, this whole stream, but just partook in a little bit of digital tourism. Hopefully, hopefully that
in
was
blurry 2006 fashion.
And yeah, but it probably didn't look as bad as people thought it would, except when I talked to NPCs. Then it looks pretty bad. But I feel like that's a nice scene to end on here. But yeah, thanks for hanging out and chatting, Henry. Good.
No problem. Anytime.
Good Switch 2 and OLED talk as always.
If I'm around, it always ends up on OLED. I have a problem.
I'm pretty sure we will have a normal stream next week. Let me make sure I didn't overlook. I don't think we overlooked any super chats. Looking at my list here.
I think so.
So thanks everyone who watched and hung out.
Unless you got anything from Streamlabs.
Super chats? No, I that's where I was checking. So everything's good. Everything's good. So yeah, tomorrow, Drum and I are going to be playing Metal Slug 4 on the Backloggery stream over on Twitch. Don't know if that's going to be a 1-week game or a 2-week game for us. We're going to we're going to use our usual arcade rules where we have to earn our credits. So we will see. Then I think after that, I think we're doing Driver maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe, or maybe that's a little further off. I can't remember. But.
John was just talking about Driver
3. Yeah, I saw him posting about
3.
that. Yeah,
yeah.
Apparently a bit of a not necessarily the most well-regarded game, but he was looking at it and he thought there were some interesting things about it.
Yeah, there was some apparently some interesting tech for it being on PS2 in that game.
Yeah. But anyhow, thanks again, everyone. I believe it'll be a normal stream next week. I think Coury will be in attendance and presumably playing. But until then, we'll be working on the videos we're working on. I'm hoping I can. I'm going to start. I'd like to start. I think I'm going to get my modded systems I sent to. In fact, if everyone looks at Fenris Wolf Retro's YouTube channel, he did a mod. He released a mod video today, recapping and replacing my RGB mod with one that's actually functional on my ColecoVision. Which it actually looks like a shockingly easy mod. I mean, it was kind of more complicated due to having to remove that old one, but the actual mod, like under normal circumstances, looked outrageously easy. So I should have that and my Turbo Nanza back to my Turbo PC Engine with the Turbo Nanza mod, and I am inclined to want to do a video on that Turbo Nanza mod as soon as possible. So just because I'm pretty excited to test that out. So probably won't be a very long video, but that's what's on my mind to work on. So, but anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Good night, everyone.